Open your mind. Your mind. Your mind. Your mind.
Let me see the fucking. Where's he at?
Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power.
And so a community is where you control your police, you control your commerce, you control your education, you control your house. We don't control none of that. We live in a hood. Huh? Well, what about the Negroes that get out? Oh, well, see, my cousin, they say he's a multi-millionaire, almost at $1 billion. Three PhDs, working on 2 more. Driving down the street in Chicago in his Rolls Royce, enjoying himself, and he hears these sirens and looks through the mirror and sees this cop car flashing lights. He squeezed the steering wheel, man. Heart beats fast. Because he knows the price of a Negro, what it could be. And then when that cop car passed him by, he said, thank God he wasn't after you in the first place, Paul. That Negro thing you can't get away from. It's universal. They wasn't coming after you. With all your millions, with your Rolls Royce, with your PhD, didn't help. That's the hood. Huh? Why do you think you never pick up the paper until you read over and over and see white families? You think it's thousands of black cops in America. Why don't you see white families crying as black cops shot my loved one 42 times in the back of the head? Why do you think black cops are that? You think they're more spiritual? Think they're better? No! They got enough sense to know that white folks ain't gonna tolerate it. And I will stop in our neighborhood when we decide we will not tolerate it. Now, if we was organized, which is hard to organize people who are just gonna run crazy and you don't know you're crazy. But if we were, with the money we have, and the many people who would come to our aid that don't know what it's like to be a Negro, and we said, if we said, look, we saying, if we don't get a federal law to deal with police brutality, that anytime a cop or anybody carry a gun, have to have a license just like you to drive a car. And if you use it wrongly, you'll lose your license. And if it's upheld, you can never work again as a cop or a store guard or a private detective. How do you get Congress to protect you? Well, you take your economic power and you call on your friends, black, white, young and old, and say, this coming Christmas, if we don't have a federal law to outlaw police brutality by law, then we call them for a nationwide boycott of Christmas and it'll start on Thanksgiving. Well, let me tell you what that means. 79% of all retail in America happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas. People stay in business all year, lose money just for Christmas, huh? Well, what happens now? Factory Avenue, Toys R Us, Sears and Roebuck, Weston House. They will get the bill, and all they got to do is make one phone call and say, Harry, that's the senator, I want that bill pushed through in 3 days. Okay, it's an economic thing. It's that simple. But we have the power, but the system has wiped us out so bad.
Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power.
Happy. San Antonio, Lincoln 6. Go ahead. Clear suspect down, 10-4. That's 10-4. The officer's code 4. We have one suspect that's been shot.
Open your mind. Your mind. Your mind. Your mind. And we are back. Peace, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Proper Thought Series right here on the T.P.O.T. YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you knew that already. That's why your black asses are here. Tonight, I mean, this is kind of an impromptu stream because y'all know we don't throw down on Saturday nights. But I was talking to my man today, and I decided, we'd come on tonight, man, and maybe talk a little family stuff, man. As y'all can see, man, this is the Reckoning series, and of course, the title is "How Family Shapes Your World View." But before we get started, as always, I always start the show off, man, with thanking you good folks, man, for your likes, your shares, your subscriptions, your views, and of course, your hard-earned pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and 50-cent pieces. Because I realize that you don't have to do it, but you do it anyway, man. You do it anyway. And I want you to know, man, that I'm appreciative, man, of all of it, man. Your likes, your shares, your subscriptions, your views, you're showing up to this channel all the time. And of course, your hard-earned coins. I want you to know, man, that I don't take you good folks lightly. I never have. And I never will. And I want you to know that I'm appreciative, man. I'm humbled. I'm honored. And I am thankful for all you good folks. All right. All right. Now, I did hit up a few brothers tonight. It was kind of, it was kind of impromptu out of nowhere. So they kind of didn't know that we were doing this till like an hour or two before we started. Because y'all know we usually don't do anything on Saturday nights. Ever since the debates have died down, I haven't even done debates on a Saturday night, but I figured what the hell, we'll see where it goes. We will kill some time on a Saturday night up until we get to my cigar smoking time, which is around midnight. So I guess we can go ahead and do something, man, until then. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this, man, because here on the internet, right, a lot of times we have these discussions, these discussions about men, about what we're going to do as men and how we're going to do it as men and all that kind of stuff. But what often happens is we don't, well, let me change that. What often happens is that, hey, what's good, Brother Gabe? Hey, you can come up if you want to, man. If you want to come through, brothers are welcome to come up here tonight. Matter of fact, I'll send you the link. You can decide whether or not if you want to come through or not. How about we do that? I think I got Gabe A's. Email, I do believe. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this because what often happens with us as men, right? We have certain views, we have certain ideas about things, man. We have certain perceptions of things if we are a single guy, right? Because I wasn't always married. Before I was married, I was single, right? And when I was single, I thought about things a little differently. It was all about me, what I wanted to do. It was all about my money. It was all about trying to have the nicest car, having the most hoes, all that kind of stuff. But as I got older and, I started having children, getting married, all that kind of stuff. I mean, my worldview changed because I had more people to think about than me, my kids, my wife, So you think about things a little differently when you get to be that way. As far as because I remember my old man used to tell me all the time, he used to be like, well, son, you have a life now, you have a lifestyle now. He said, but that lifestyle should evolve and change every 5 years. He said every 5 years, you should be doing a little more and a little better, and you should be a little more mature with your life. Now, he was telling me that when I was like 17. So, I'm thinking to myself, hey, Pop, I'm 17. That I'm going to live forever. I'm going to be 17 forever. But as I got to get older, and I had the wife and the kids and all that kind of stuff, in my life, the things he was saying, man, rang true. They rang true. And I did change. I did mature. I did grow. I did develop because, for instance, if you are I sent you the link too, Gabe. I hope I sent it to the right Gabe. I think that's you. I think that's you, brother Gabe. So check your email, brother. It's like, you work a job, right? And, you put extra money to the side for this, that, I've always been the type of person kind of budget. I'm like, okay, this got to go towards the rent. This got to go towards my car insurance. This got to go towards the light bill. This got to go towards the gas bill. This got to go, I've always kind of been like that, ever since I was a young guy. Now, mind you, when I was a young guy, I had more things figured into the budget. Weed, beer, liquor, hoes, they were figured into the budget. But as I started having kids and I got a little older and I had more responsibility that I had to deal with, I had to excise some of that money out. I couldn't spend all that money on weed. I couldn't spend all that money on beer, and definitely couldn't spend all that money on hoes. So you kind of change, man, as you grow, as you get older. And I think when you become a person with a family that you're responsible for this woman, you're responsible for these babies. You just don't think the same way, you don't see things the same way, you don't operate the same way. You probably don't take the same dumb risk that you normally would. When I was a single guy, I would take off, man, and leave from the condo and go stay at some chick's house sometime and be gone for 2 days. When you got kids and a woman and a wife and all these people who depend on you, you can't do that. You can't haul off and be gone for 2 and 3 days. So little things like that, man, the little fluctuations in your life, man, all that stuff matters, And, I was talking to my man today and I was telling him, I was like, we should talk about this tonight because he was saying that, how is Black society ever going to get to where we often talk about we want it to get to? How is that going to happen if there's no Black families? It has to start somewhere, right? When we talking about putting things in place, right? Putting structures in place where Black people can thrive, where Black people can grow, where Black people can develop, where Black people can become something great. That has to start somewhere, man. I mean, these things don't drop out of the sky. You're not going to look up one day. If you want to be a doctor, you're not going to look up one day and you're going to be a doctor. If you want to be a lawyer, you're not going to look up one day and be a lawyer. And likewise, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're not going to look up one day and you're going to be an entrepreneur. So those things that we often talk about, people want to do and people want to be, we have to understand that these things have to be instilled in people. And you don't instill these things in people when they get 25, man. You're supposed to be in the process of instilling these things into these people when they little toddlers, when they running around, before they go to kindergarten, and you groom it, you put it into them like a puppy. I think about my dog. When I first got my dog, this dog was so little, he could actually fit in my hand. I literally could hold that mutt in my hand. But his feet were as big as my fist. This little old tiny dog, these big old feet. But you see him now, He's huge. Because eventually he grew into the feet. And I think we got to be the same way, man, when it comes to our children. I think we got to go ahead and put it into them. We got to give them them big feet, man, so they can grow into it. I mean, I just don't think people become productive people by magic. I know y'all listen to me, man, and I harp on family, and I harp on parenting, and I harp on fathers, and I harp on all this shit. And I do it for a reason. And I don't do it just because I'm a person with a family. No, I do it also because I came from one. I came from a family. I mean, shoot, when my old man died, my parents had been married like 50 some odd years. My old man didn't die until I was, I think, 37. I was 36, 37 when my old man died. So I had my father around all my life. If it wasn't for him, most of the shit I do now, I wouldn't be able to do, folks. I wouldn't have no business. I wouldn't know how to work. I wouldn't understand processing. I wouldn't understand billing. I wouldn't understand none of that shit. I wouldn't know what accounts receivable was, what accounts payable was, if it wasn't for that man putting that shit into me early on. Watching him go out of work as the sun rose and coming back in as the sun set. I watched that for a long time. And when I was old enough, guess what? A lot of times I'd be going out there with him. So I harp on parenting. I harp on family. I harp on these things because no one can deny that a strong family helps a kid. Because if a kid knows that they have all of these people behind them, all of these people love them, support them, these kids grow up knowing that there are expectations on them. And I'm a true believer that children require expectations. Because if you don't put expectations on them, they will create their expectations themselves. And you don't want children creating their own expectations. Because usually when they create their own expectations, it doesn't go well. But we'll go into that later. We've been joined by Brother Gabe. Hey, what's good with Brother Gabe?
Hey, not too much. Can you hear me?
Yep. You got it.
No, I think the subject is really interesting. I think it's one that pretty much the Black manosphere has been talking about for years and years and years, right? The whole disconnect in the Black family. That's the reason why a lot of people just think that it's just dissipated, right? It's no longer a viable option for a lot of brothers today. But I don't agree. I still think that it's at the foundation of any society, and that it's still possible, man. Like I don't think that I don't think that it's just you should just go away from it. But I hear a lot of ideas, right? This whole surrogacy, Black men should go towards surrogacy because Black men make better parents than Black women, and like the early childcare years. Like we even had a conversation earlier this week. My good brother Ramil was saying he's just gonna hire a nanny to do the early childcare kind of duties, right? The breastfeeding, and just nurturing an infant. And a lot of brothers would give him a lot of questions about it, and it's funny because a lot of times brothers here want to give every option but the Black family. They want to get every option, everything to kind of circumvent. And I get it, right? There's issues between Black men and Black women. Some issues are unresolved. Black men don't feel like they can find viable options. Yeah, sure. Right. But I do think that at the same time, many of the brothers would also call themselves anomalies. They'll call themselves special. They say that they beat the odds. And they feel like if they have beat the odds and not winding up in prison, not winding up dead, not winding up on the streets, not strung out on drugs, they will promote the fact that they haven't gotten to all those situations, even though statistically a lot of Black men are in those situations. But then they'll use they'll use it to the statistics to build themselves up for not being in those negative situations, but they won't use the statistics to say, hey, there's still a chance that I can that a black family can work for me, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like they'll say you know, I'm not like all the other black men on the streets. I'm not like this and not like that. Well, you know, not all black women are like that. I mean, I think a lot of black men can find options if they want, if they want a black family. But I think they just completely throw that option out of the window because of bad previous experiences when we've seen that it really is something positive. So I'll just pause there and let you continue. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, brother Gabe.
Mhm.
Uh, the family life isn't for everyone. I mean, I will
No.
never. I mean, you talking to an old Negro right now. I've been married 20 years. I've known my wife for 23 years, so I've been around
Yeah.
the same woman for 23 years.
Yeah.
But I'm not the type to get up here and be like, "Oh, y'all Negroes need to get married," because
Yeah.
see, I understand that marriage was right for me. It was right for me. It may
Yeah.
not be right for the next brother, but on the other side of that, I think that a lot of times that when brothers talk about a family, I think they fail to realize that if you're going to have a family, you're probably going to need a woman. You're probably going to need a woman if you want the quote unquote family. Now, you
Yeah.
can have children, all right,
Mhm.
without having a woman, because, like brother said, they're going to get a surrogate and you got the kids living with you. Fine, I
Right.
understand.
Right.
But if you're talking about having a complete family, you're probably going to have a woman be part of it
See, but
because
they don't think all that out though. They just want me and my kid without the black woman that I have issues with. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think they think
I
that
get
whole situation out.
and I get that too, because I tell brothers all the time, you know, I deal with a lot of brothers on the internet, and a lot of these brothers are single, they're not married. And I tell them, I say, hey man, you know, if I was one of you guys' age, if I was in my 20s, you know, like my mid-20s, looking at what I see now, I mean, I wouldn't be that optimistic about things because why? Why would I be optimistic about this with what I see? You know what I'm saying? With what I see out in the world, far as females go, I can kind of understand why they think that way because with the rise of social media, what do you see? You see the most whorish, thottish, crazy mess
Yeah.
that you've ever seen. So you look at all these women and you say, damn, you know, and you hear the stories from other brothers and you're like, man, I don't want that in my life because not only does it make you not want a wife or to get married, it also makes you not want to have a kid because you know the way the world is set up now, it's like, oh my God, you know, there's so many things that can go wrong. You know, there's so many things that can go wrong with this woman. There's
Yeah.
so many things that can go wrong with the kid. And then there's child support, then there's alimony, then all these things, you know, are floating around in brothers' heads. So the best way to not deal with it is to just not deal with it from the very beginning. So I understand why the brothers feel that way. I do. I
Yeah.
get it.
But what happened to the process of elimination, right? I mean, you mentioned like you see on social media all these women exhibiting ratchet and thottish type of behavior.
Mhm.
Wouldn't those be women that would help me to choose? That would help me to say, if women are exhibiting these type of behaviors, those are women that I don't want to be with, rather than
Yeah.
just just blindly applying it to all women, all black women, right? I mean, why do why do bad examples equate to the whole group? Because there's
Mhm.
bad examples of women in all types of cultures. There's bad examples of women everywhere. But like that's shouldn't stop a man from going after the examples that they want in their lives. And I think it's an excuse, honestly. But
Mm.
It's an excuse because
because
of bad previous experiences.
I mean, because how I don't believe that. See, this is where I am, and I've caught some heat from it. I'm a true believer that you can't change grown ass folks, and I think what happens here on media is that we're trying to change grown people. I've often said that if you want to make change, you're going to have to start with the little ones. I'm a true believer in that. Um, if we talk about women, fine. The women that are out here now are ridiculous. They hoes, they all that kind of stuff. Fine. I will give you that argument all day long. But if you want to see decent women into the world, we as men we're going to have to be the ones to send them out there, meaning our daughters. We're going to have to raise these young girls up into responsible, feminine, intelligent, understanding, decent women. That's how it's going to happen. Yeah,
See, but if you
we
take
can get
a lot of these dudes, like any of that is possible. They don't think that there can be any salvaging of black women. If you talk to a lot of them, there's no salvaging. Like none of them are good. None of them are right. SKC, I think he speaks about it a lot, right? This whole idea of SYSBM, get a woman from a different culture, because all black women are unsalvageable. None of them are marryable, and none of them can ever produce quality children in a quality living situation. So, I mean, even though I hear you, T.P.O.T, saying that yeah, we got to raise quality women coming up, but I mean, if you take a lot of the talking points and a lot of the discussions that a lot of brothers have, they say like, "Hey, no, it's done." The black community, black women as a whole are done. That's
but they're
what
talking,
I'm hearing.
they're talking about the women who are already here. They're already here. They're already adults. They already loaded down with babies. They already in the club. They already on IG. They already doing all that kind of crap. But what about the future? I mean, like I said, if we want to see decent women in the world, we're going to have to create them.
But men
We're
can't
going to have
create
to
decent
create them.
women. Men can't create decent women. The women of today, the women who are adults, have to create those women.
No,
So
but we can't rely on them, brother Gabe, because we've already did that and it's not working.
So men
the
with daughters, raising daughters, is the solution by themselves to create this new clean slate of black women? Is that the solution?
I think that's part of it, because
Yikes.
like you said earlier, like you said earlier, that's not the whole of it, but that is part of it.
Right.
Women who grow up with their fathers in their lives have a tendency to be more decent women. Let's just be honest here. If a woman's got a father in her life, all right, she has a tendency to be a little different from other women. Now, don't get me wrong, women are women for the most part, but well, I'll speak anecdotally. I don't want to speak for nobody else.
Sure.
I know me. I've always had better relationships with women that had a relationship with their father, like my wife that I've been with for more than 20 years. Her father was in her life, man. I sat down with that man, talked to that man. Me and him got drunk together a few times, and the type of guy that he was a decent father to her. Therefore, she grew up understanding what it was like to be under the authority of a man, her father. So once she became my wife, being under the authority of a man was old news. It wasn't like it was this new thing. I think that a lot of times, because we talk about women having problems coming under the authority of a man, right? And the reason why I think that is because it's something new to them. It's something that they've never had to do before. Because if you don't have a father in your life, you've never been under the guidance, instruction, counsel, or tutelage of a man.
But your
Right?
wife's situation wasn't your wife and only her father, right? Or was it like the mother had influence in that in creating who she was, from my
Yes.
understanding. So
Yes.
it's not a yeah. So sure, a father needs to be in, and that's to this family thing, husband, wife,
Mm-hmm.
mother, father, adding that
Yes.
have contributed to the wife that you have. Right. Same in my
Yes.
situation. My wife has had her mother and father in her life. So but
Mm-hmm.
what the dude's talking about today is father absent mother. That's what I've been hearing some of. So
Well, when you're talking about family per se, because don't get me wrong, I think black folks, we have a really bastardized view of family, because we've been indoctrinated that a family is a bunch of women, a woman with a bunch of kids. That's what we think family is. When they talk
right.
family and show family, it's a woman with a bunch of kids. The man is totally excised out of it. But I'm a true believer that a family isn't complete unless a father is in it. I'm a true believer of that, because the father is probably he's your parent that makes you a person. Now your mother, okay, your mother does certain things, but especially when you talk about guidance and instruction and all that kind of stuff, your father is that's usually the missing element out of a child's life. You don't hear about a lot of children failing in life because their mother wasn't in their life. Because I know a few dudes who have custody of their children and their children are doing fine. So it's not that often that you hear, oh, they messed up, because they was raised by a single father. You don't hear that. But you damn sure hear about the messes up in life for the people who come from single mothers. But
You don't think mothers teach empathy? They teach sensitivity. They teach certain things that kind of balance out the I guess the personalities and the demeanors of children. Like I don't think
I
that their presence should just be right.
no,
Hmm.
I think mothers teach soft skills and fathers teach hard skills. That's what I think. I think your mother teaches you soft skills. Your father teaches you hard skills. That's my belief, but that's just me. That's just me. Now,
Hmm.
she teaches you skills just the same, but I feel like your pops always teaches you. He teaches you those hard skills, But I'm speaking from the point of a man. I mean, when you're a man, you really kind of need your pops, to kind of instruct you. Because if you don't have your pops, you at least need some man to kind of teach you how to be a man. Now I'm not a female, so I don't know what that dynamic is like for a female. But one thing I'll say again, women who have been raised by their fathers are a little bit different than the ones who aren't. They're a little bit different. They just are. Um, and families, people who come out of families, you know, statistically, they're probably going to do better. Now, people will tell you, oh man, I knew somebody who came out of a nuclear family and they smoked crack and robbed liquor stores. But I mean, those things are anomalies. Those are one-offs, man. Because we already know, man, children just have a tendency to do better when they have both families, and I mean both parents, and they definitely do better when they have a decent father in their life, man. We can't deny those statistics. Those statistics can't be denied. I know we like to deny them in black society because most of us raised by old mammy, but in reality, we know that when there is a man in a child's life, it puts something in that child, man. All right. It puts not only responsibility, like brother Zero is saying, but when a man comes into a child's life, man, it does something for that child, man, and it makes that child realize that they are somebody. But we are joined by my brother Art, and brother Supreme. What's good with it, brothers?
Oh, nothing much. I'm still trying to catch the Greetings to Brother Gay Babe, and Brother SKC. What's going on? And Brother Prophet. I'm just trying to catch what is the what is the discerning part of the conversation, because I'm trying to
Um,
get the two
well,
opposing
act
views here.
okay. Well, actually, we kind of veered off. I'm up here, goddamn, Gabe's up here fucking with me, but um, we kind of veered off. But what I wanted to talk about tonight is, how family shapes a man's worldview. Um, I spoke about the difference between when you're just a single guy, and you're living in your condo and all you think about is chicks and, having a nice car and all that kind of stuff. But as you get older and you start to have a wife and kids and all that kind of stuff, your worldview kind of changes a little bit, man. You don't think about things the same way you thought about them when you were 19 and single. Now that you're 35 and got two kids and a wife, there's no way you can think about things the same way because you have people who depend on you. You don't just depend on you. You got other people who depend on you. So it has to change your worldview. At least it's supposed to, because you're responsible for other people, which means you're not only responsible for them, you're responsible for their needs. So you have to kind of change your worldview a bit simply because you have a family, right?
So let me ask the Brotherhood this, and probably some people on the panel. And my worldview right now is cooking for the family right now. That's why I have the delay.
Hmm.
I'm
Okay.
doing Chinese. But anyhow, has anybody heard any brothers that are married in these spaces support pump and dump, that have a family that's married?
Well, somebody
I'm just
was
curious.
was married, but
Yeah, I'm talking
nobody
about
that's
now, like
currently.
that's
Yeah.
recently current. Yeah, exactly. Currently married, got children. They say, man, pump and dump. Yeah, I'm for that. Let me know. Matter of fact, everybody should do it. Blah blah. I'm trying to figure
No.
out, have we heard anyone say that?
I haven't heard anything like that, Art.
No, no.
Nope.
So that kind of goes to your point, Xavier, is that once you have that family, I hope y'all don't hear that sizzling. Once you have that
We hear it,
family,
smell it too. Damn it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
um, it kind of just put the brakes on things, and then the word responsibility start to come to mind. And I think one day, or hopefully, I don't know whose channel should do it. We need to start really establishing what does responsibility mean. We just throw responsibility out there, but we don't really have any kind of bullet points in this space. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if I could interject on one thing real quick, Art, I would say that that worldview changes somewhat when family is involved because people have to start thinking of the word responsibility outside of themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
Exactly.
when you have other people who rely on you and other people who depend on you, you know there's no way you can just have this individual outlook on things, man, because
Right.
you represent all these people. I represent my wife and my kids and everybody. I represent them. So I go down, guess what, it's going to affect them.
Yeah.
When you by yourself, what affects you just pretty much affects you. But if you
I,
have, your wife, your kids, and everybody, something goes down with you, it affects everybody. So I think those kind of things kind of preempt a lot of the crazy stuff you would normally do. The crazy stuff you would do when you were 18 or 19 or 20, single, you're probably not going to make that leap, if you're 30, married, and two babies at the house, you
right.
know?
And I
Kind of
think one of
preempts
those.
a lot of stuff. Go
Mhm.
ahead.
And I was going to say, I think one of those bullet points are about responsibility. One thing that really changed for me after I started a family. This is my wife. We don't have kids yet, but one of the major things is I don't only want to be responsible for my family as I'm living, but also be responsible for my family when I'm not here anymore. So what am I doing
Yes.
currently to be able to establish? And I think one of the easiest ways, right? One of the most obvious ways is to get life insurance, right? I mean, life insurance for your family, I think, is one of the most responsible things that you can do as a man. And you're paying what monthly towards, it's more like insurance that your family would continue even without your income or your economic contributions being there. So I think that's one of the bullet points of family responsibility that a lot of black men should be aware of. And one thing that I was brought into awareness of once I started a family. But I didn't worry about that while I was single. I was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime I just put
My
down my
dad's
nephew
like,
as my right. I put down my nephew as my what's that called? What is this person called?
you're
Your
dependent.
dependent. Yep. You're dependent for like your
Bene- oh,
401k and your property and all that.
beneficiary. Your beneficiary.
Beneficiary. There we are. I just put down my little nephew. I got his social security number. I put that down on forms. I'm like, yeah, you got everything if something happened to me. But with a family, I'm like, yo, you really got to be intentional here. So
I'll throw something
Oh, yeah.
out there, Gabe. And I think it kind of links more towards the space. Um, if you have a family, the full thing, at some point, your worldview is going to be diametrically opposed to those within the space. The majority, I would say.
agreed. Yeah. Yep.
Well,
And the
so what
thing,
you're saying?
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. Art. Go ahead, brother. Art. You got it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, and that's why, and sometimes you got to explain the existence of the people that are married in a lot of these spaces to where it's a lot of single issues going on. And the answer to that would be probably to be around to see how people are solving their problems, just observing, or even being around just to have some kind of solution, just in case the question comes to you, if they want to know from a married person, because there are people out there that's looking for answers. But it's not everything is not one size fit all, of course. But I just wonder if people, because most of the time you hear a lot of pushback because of the whole court system and everything. But I just wonder if is the other reasons that they just they can't endure the pressure.
Well, Art, and I'll clear it up a little bit. I'm not saying so far as people being diametrically opposed in a bad way. It would be similar to, say like two high school friends or whatever, and one decides to go into trade school, another one decides to go into the military or, some other or college or something like that. They're just going to go on two different paths of life, and they're likely not going to be around each other a lot because of those two decisions. I think it's the same thing with individuals that have families or whatnot, and those who choose to remain single. Their worldviews based on those decisions. At some point, there are going to be some things that they're going to be diametrically opposed in, because the word that we used earlier was responsibility. Well, that's going to be different for each individual according to their life choices.
Is there a time limit to that? Like what you just described? Do these things happen in stages, or it just pretty much it doesn't matter as far as across the board? People are going to be who they are. Because reason I'm asking this is because most of the stuff I hear, as far as I guess the worldview from a single perspective or a bachelor, since we're talking about brothers, is that it's
Hmm.
usually from someone that's up and coming, that's growing and experiencing new things and discovering new things. And then later on, as they get older, they start looking back and start figuring out this is how I want to live the rest of my life, and this is how I want to choose. And the frustration that I'm hearing is that we don't have that much to choose from. So I'm just trying to see if that kind of fits the conversation. And welcome, brother
Yeah,
Nick.
well, yeah, we've been joined by my brother Nick Taylor.
Welcome.
What's going on, boss man?
What's good with it, man? Oh, hold up, brother Nick Taylor that came here, so now I got to play this shit. Hold on,
Uh-oh.
we're gonna have a little sidebar, y'all.
Already had it in his mind. What I played on. I don't give a fuck what you played on. This is what I want you to do. Bing, 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 bing. That's what I do. It. Do it. Yeah, you do. There you go. Drummer.
Oh no!
Guess who else used to do that? George Clinton. George Clinton used to do the exact same thing. Now you want to compare dude to go, nigga, hit the bitch, boom, hit her, smoke this shit, boom, hit it, try that bitch, take it off, hit it, hit them brakes, hit it, hit the lip.
Bars.
That's not. He ain't George Clinton.
Brother Taylor got that
good.
shit down packed, man.
I kind of like that.
People's cars, and I see these motherfuckers' heads in there. I'm like, what are you doing? Man, this shit is dope. You mean as in heroin? Man, hit that left at the end of the block. Hit that right.
Hey.
Watch the speed bump.
Hey.
Nigga,
Hey.
hit them brake.
Yeah.
Smoke this shit.
Gabe is like having a heart attack right now.
I like that. I like that. It's my type of music.
Man.
I'm
Bars.
gonna play that every time, brother Nick Taylor. Come on.
Man, them dudes, they don't know what they live. What is that noise? What
Listen,
is that?
When is your album dropping, Nick?
Oh,
When is
my
it?
album. Oh no, I was mocking them clowns.
No, I like that. No, you should keep that going.
No, I can't deal with man.
hilarious.
About 5 minutes of that, my head will explode.
Oh man,
Man,
that's a track. 5 minutes.
You should hear how they explain it and try to break down the science behind it. What it really means, you old cats don't know what it means. I'm like, really?
yeah, and I'm telling you, I just stand there and I give them that deer in the headlights look. And I figure, yeah, I already know I'm gonna see you on TV either shot, arrested, or in an orange jumpsuit. So I just keep it moving because man, look, you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. But man,
like
what's
that.
up, Gabe? Hey, y'all, what's up, homeboy? Gabe, that's my homeboy there.
What's up?
West Side.
What's up?
What's
all
up,
day?
SKC? What's up, Art?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey fam.
Man,
I have this conversation all the time with these kids. Oh, my son is hard on it, so I feel blessed on that. So he's 16, so he has a future.
Well, all of mine are grown. They got grown before that stuff became whatever they want to call it. But hey, I just let them do what they do. Man,
I'm thankful for that too, man. That my kids grew up before, this crazy mumble rap and also kind of nonsense, So, I mean, they grew up before all this stuff became normal, before it became righteous, before it became, like you said, whatever the hell they call it, which goes to what we're talking about tonight.
well,
Because tonight, we're talking about how your family shapes your worldview. If you have certain structures in place in your family, you know that you've kind of minimized, the BS that your kids may find themselves wrapped up in. Now, nothing is 100%, there's always outliers and, exceptions. But if you put certain things into your children, you know that you've kind of cut away some of those those external influences that may affect them in an adverse or negative way. So I think family is very important And it's not just important for the children. I think it's very important for the brother, because you make better decisions when you have other people that rely on you.
Yes.
I know I did. You know, you make better decisions when you know you have people who, are counting on you to do what's right. They're counting on you to be responsible. They're counting on you to be the protector, the provider. They're counting on you to make sure you got a house. They're counting on you to make sure you got vehicles to get around in. They're counting on you for food, clothing, shelter, all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, you don't really have a choice but to be responsible, because if you're in that situation and you're not being responsible, I got one word for you: loser.
And that's the correct word.
I digress. Let me ask you, Brother Taylor, being that you're new to this. All of us up here, everybody up here has family and wives and kids and all that. Everybody up here has that.
Mm-hmm.
So how did having a family, having people to be responsible for, how did that make you make better decisions? Did you have to change when you were a young guy? Did you have to shift into another mode, once the babies start coming and all that kind of stuff?
Well, with me being, I grew up in a household with mom and dad, and my grandparents. Here the deal: when I say live next door, I literally mean next door. Our address was 558 and theirs was 560. So I had the blueprint. I saw how it went. Dad worked at Chrysler. Then during the bad old days, the Iacocca shift, and then he taking odd jobs to do this, that, and other. Mom got a part-time job at Chrysler, just part-time, because she still had to run the house. I didn't had a job since I was in high school. All the boys, we worked. We done what daddy told us to do. Wherever he went, we went. We's doing this. So I already had a blueprint. I haven't been thrown into the fire. That's why a lot of these younger cats, no diss to them, but they fail because their blueprint is either their mama, which ain't a damn good blueprint, and people, well, my mama, she raised 6 kids on her own. Okay, dude, stop about it. Nobody likes to think ill of their mama, but think about it. Let's really put get your cranial screw top going. Why did your mama have 6 kids unmarried by herself? Why? Why would she constantly keep popping kids out and throwing them straight into the fire? Why? You're feeding the machine. And the main ones to talk about the school to prison pipeline and industrial prison complex are the main ones that feed that son of a bitch. It don't come take your kids. You got to give your kids to it. You got to produce kids to feed that machine. But with me, it wasn't much of an adjustment. I was married. I was married before we had kids. We didn't have kids until after we got married. So I know, and it's different for some people, but that's the way it went with us. And we just had the kids, and I know a lot of things, they need things that they can't procure on their own. So it's up to me to procure them for them. So that kind of keeps the dumb stuff down. Yeah, I want to hit this dude over the head or whatever the hell he getting on my nerves. But if I hit him, I go to jail. Then who's looking out for my kids? So, and I've never been in jail day in my life, but still, all that stuff like that comes to mind. And, like some people need kids to make them responsible. I was always kind of responsible. I had my fun before getting married, but I was never one to get into stuff, because Gabe can tell you, once you get into trouble on Detroit's West Side, you can't get that shit off of you.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's the
on
city.
you. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's on you. You can't wash that off. It's hard to wash Detroit off, period. I tell people Detroit is like the Matrix, just like Morpheus said. I can't explain to you what Detroit is. You have to experience it for yourself.
it's all about associations. Whoever you associated with, that's how far you're gonna go or how far you're not gonna go in life.
Yeah, show me
I
your
learned that
friends,
early.
right? Ain't that what
Yep.
Daddy used to say? Show me your friends.
Yep.
But yeah, so it wasn't that big of a curve for me. The biggest curve for me was once they got older, is to keep the BS away from them. That was a full-time job. Oh my, you couldn't let your guard down. You couldn't let your guard down back then because what no social media when we was coming up. What no this and that, and they ain't have this on TV. And if you heard somebody curse on TV back then, that was a rarity, and whatnot, and this, that, and other. But now, dude, you're fighting the system. You're fighting social media. You fighting modern day television. You're fighting modern day. They didn't put homosexuality in the damn comic books. It's tearing at your kids at every. You got gay. Okay, ain't none of us kids. Did you ever think you'd see the day when you'd have gay rappers when you was young?
Nope.
I know I did.
Nope.
I mean, because rap to me when I was that's Run DMC, LL Cool J, Houdini. You know what I'm saying? The Fat Boys and da da da. Curtis Blow
And check this out, Nick. Remember PM Dawn?
yes.
Do you think that was
I
an
know who
attempt?
they was. I couldn't name you. I couldn't hum you 2 bars of any damn thing they met.
You think that was an attempt to start that? Start making that,
I wouldn't doubt
things,
it.
things, putting it in that direction.
I wouldn't doubt it. I
Because they
wouldn't
did
doubt
not.
it.
When they came out, it did not make sense of their existence in hip hop when they came out.
Yeah, and I
I
didn't
kid you
even
not.
I literally so I was like, what is that? He said it's a group. A what? A what? Nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm good.
Yeah, it's like they tried to sneak something in, and we just weren't feeling it.
Yeah, and I'm
From
not
the Xers.
gangsta. I'm not gangsta. Like I say, I'm the Tribe Called Quest rap type. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I'm
De La Soul.
the Eric B and Rakim. I'm the EPMD rap type. I'm not I'ma sell your sister some crack after I slap your girlfriend and shoot your mama in the back of the head. I mean, that's not that ain't my groove. Cause I'm like, man, and then people going, yeah. And I'm like, hey man, what he talking about your mama and your sister too, right? Oh, you think your mama and sister exempt? Okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But doesn't, like I said, doesn't family should I say, isn't family the only thing that could possibly counter all those influences? What else is there to counter it?
Well, it used to be a
family.
situation. Well, it used to be a situation, at least still on music, right, where we listened to the music of our parents, like in the car, all throughout the house. So that affected a lot of our taste in music. Now the parents and the kids listen to the same type of music now. So it's a little bit different.
I can back him up. That's facts.
So that's how a lot of my influence or my understanding, or I guess my breadth of music choices came from, is because I had to listen to the music. It wasn't like I couldn't touch the radio. I couldn't touch nothing. Couldn't touch anything at all.
So Gabe and maybe Nick and Art, what does that mean for those group of individuals if they have the exact same taste in music?
There's no growth. The growth is stunted. The growth is stunt. There's not too much to pass on. Matter of fact, even it gives the young the impression that they're on the same plane as the parents. So yeah, I mean, because remember, music is always the background of your reality, right, and your experience. So this is what we're dealing with. That's why I keep telling people. People think I'm joking, but when we have these parent conferences, we do have the dads with the great cornrows still sagging his pants at the parent conference.
Oh, he
So
just
make
got
sense
out.
of that.
Right.
He just got out.
That's called
Oh,
arrested development.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, isn't some of that though a result of the children being in the same generation as their parents? Because
Yep.
if you're only 15, 16 years older than your child, you two are in the same generation. So, I mean, when this child gets to be 15, you're 30. So, of course they're listening to the same music because they are part of the same, they're part of the same generational they're part of the same generational spurt, are they not? So of
I
course they're both listening to Lil Wayne and Jeezy and then every damn body.
I call it the blind leading the blind. I do.
Yeah,
That's what I
that
call it.
too.
I call it the blind. I mean, because you came. I mean, all of us. We all big boys here. I bet you right off the top of your head, you can name 5 men right off the top of your head that you know personally that is 40 years old plus that you wouldn't trust to water a plant and feed your goldfish.
Oh man.
See?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and and
Absolutely.
and and the thing is, and somebody allowed this person to impregnate them.
I had an
That's
older man in his 40s when I was maybe 18. I was going to his son's basketball game. He was going to the restroom and he had me hold a bag for him. I'm like, I just leave it over there. I leave it on the bleachers. He's like, nah. You need to hold this in your hand. I'm like, well, I gotta hold this bag. We had a kids basketball game. He got the thing on him at the kids basketball game, and he put it in my hands. Now I don't know if this is a legal weapon. I don't know anything about this. I don't know why he holding it. I don't know. Like I don't know this. So to your point, yeah, I do know older men that I wouldn't trust. I never go out anywhere with this man ever again. Put me in compromising situations. But go ahead.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Continue with the point.
No, shoot, bruh, that's good stuff. But I mean, but we know them. But these people have children. Now, whether we indulge and get down in it or not, I bet you all of y'all done seen World Star videos or YouTube videos with chicks, big, giant, overweight, 40, 50 years old, pulling off each other weed, punching each other in the head. And the only thing you
Mhm.
hear is bitch, 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 and you see stuff flying.
Mhm.
Okay. That's somebody's mama. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's sister. Somewhere along the line, the chain was broken and arrested development had set in. You got so-called millionaire, even so, I mean, some of them are faking millionaires, but they broke. But anyway, you got grown men, 40 and 50 years old, going on internet with they pants sagging, underwear hanging, nuggets in their mouth, dookie braids, and you got gray hair. Dude, you are stuck and arrested develop. Oh, and if you don't want to involve with them, you a coon, you a sellout, you a buffoon. No, dude, you food for the system. I'll let you feed the system. I'll monitor the system. How about that?
Are these people products of are these people's products of family failure? Are they failures? Are these people have these people been pushed out like a factory or a manufacturing plant? And are they the result of not having um family, not having people who stood behind them and guided them and counseled them when they were children? Are these people products of the failed family?
I would say so. And I would add to it and say that a lot of the individuals that, well, I'll put it this way. Everybody here has, in this space and in real life, heard people quote entertainers, particularly from the rap industry. Hey, man, just as so and so said, as if that is a a life lesson to go by. Someone's entertainment lyric is a life lesson to go by. So
That's sad.
and now you have generations of that happening where the parents have taught the young children, yeah, I listen to this entertainer, and what do you think that the child is going to do? Listen to the entertainers of their day. So yeah, I think it's a cycle of failure. As you said once before, X, cycles of dysfunction.
Yes, cycles of dysfunction. Because
Yes,
make
sir.
no mistake, man, there's a lot of, and people don't want you to say this, people don't want you to say, man, there's a lot of dysfunction inside Black society. There's a lot of dysfunction in a lot of Black households. I mean, it is what it is. All right. Now, people don't want you to say that because, see, they want you to, as Brother David Carroll says, leapfrog, over everything and land that Jim Crow and slavery and all this kind of stuff. The people, they don't want you to put emphasis on what goes on inside of the Black house. People do not want you to do that. They don't want you to put emphasis on what's going on in these houses. Absolutely not. Because, see, for some reason, people want to try to tell you that what goes on inside that house when your ass is growing up in it means nothing. It's everything else except what's going on inside the house. It's white supremacy. It's Jim Crow. It's white folks. It's slavery. It's all this kind of stuff. But if you're going to say that, fine. If you're going to say that, fine. But you can't just disregard what's going on inside the household. You can't just disregard the parenting. You can't just disregard how these children are being raised, man. And people want to totally disregard that shit. They want to do it. It's as if all these other outside external influences, they affected you once you got out of the house. But all the shit that was going on while you were in the house had nothing to do with anything. And to me, that makes no damn sense. It just doesn't.
Oh, I'll say this real quick. Gabe, I remember you were saying the whole thing about the SYSBM thing. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's a complete, like complete failure. So I'm not saying that people can't find people. No, I'm not. That's not the idea. I think that what the community is dealing with is that you have a shift in culture to where the majority of people do not value family units. And
Nope.
when that occurs, it's like your outlook is going to get really, really dim. Because if you can't fix two people getting along to form a family, you're not going to fix anything politically. You're not going to fix anything socially. You're not going to fix economics and all of that type of stuff. You can't even get along in your own household. So I just think that there's going to be a few that'll survive that or whatnot, and that they'll need to assimilate into more popular culture that understands that you have to get along in order to build families, in order to to move ahead. But
Yeah.
that the majority of the culture You can tell it from the vibe of the music. I'm sure Art can talk about the various arts that are involved. There's just so much pushing against family. I mean, even right in the space, you have so many bros that have a hard look at just two people getting along and raising children.
I don't know if the majority has ever been the barometer for people making good decisions. Because I think the majority has always been a bit how do I say it? Many people will consider themselves not the majority, but will use majority statistics to dictate changes in their lives. They say, "Oh, I'm not like the Pookie and Ray Rays. Oh, I'm not like the dudes in prison. I'm not like this. I'm not like that." They're saying I'm not the majority, but then they'll be like, "Well, the majority of women, the majority of Black women, the majority. Like, if you're not the majority, why are you expecting the majority, a majority woman?" Like, I've never expected myself to get with a single mother. I've never expected myself to be with a ratchet chick. Like, I just haven't had that standard for myself. And I searched for and I found exactly what I wanted. So I don't know. That's just a comment.
I think you had to fight against, or either fight against or not hold popular Black culture in high regard in order to have that mindset, Gabe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And can you attribute that to your family though? I mean, you're a successful brother, educated, obviously intelligent. If you didn't have a solid family, a solid family structure behind you, do you think you would have became what you are now without it?
I grew up in a single mother family, or a single mother household. My parents divorced, so they were married when they had me, but they divorced when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So I didn't fall into the statistics, right? I wasn't the majority. Like my peers, people I grew up with, I can't hang out with them. I mess around and be in prison. I mess around and be somewhere else. So I do think there's a degree of choice in choosing what type of culture, what you want to adopt as you go forward as an adult. But I grew up in all of it. All right. The matriarchs with my mother and my grandmother. And they weren't ratchet. They weren't ratchet women or anything. They didn't do nothing crazy. My grandfather died very early. Mother and father divorced early, but she always kept us in stuff. She always made sure our education was one of the things on the forefronts of our mind. She always kept us in activities. She supported us. And I had strong uncles. Them uncles used to beat the mess out of me all the time. Anytime I messed up, if she called.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you had people behind you to guide you, instruct you, counsel you, train you, so to speak. So, I mean, we can't say that these things aren't important. I mean, these things are very important, man.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I don't think anything is anything trumps a little kid having people behind him. A little kid, whatever he does, he knows there's people out in that audience who love him and are watching him. He knows when he comes home from school, he's going to have someone interested in his homework. He knows someone's going to ask him how his day was today, what he do in school today. He knows somebody's going to drive him to soccer practice. He knows somebody's going to, do the things for him. He has that knowledge that he has these people, his family, that give a damn about him, man.
Yeah.
I think that means a lot. And likewise, with men, I think a family makes a man somewhat more of a responsible man when he has a family that he has to provide for. That's just me. But what do I know? I'm just an old Negro. So, and we've been joined by Semper Fidelis. What's good with it, brother?
Quincy
Hey, what's
Jones.
good, Brother X? Been listening to you for a while, man. I want to say salute to you and salute for this colloquy because I mean I have to say family's everything to me, man. I've been living over here, 6,000 miles across the pond in Republic of Finland. Married 30 years, damn near. Then raised two, son and a daughter, and my daughter, she's about to get married. I'm also about to become a grandpapa for the first time. I'm excited and nervous about it. So I mean, everything you're talking about is of the utmost importance to me, man. I just wanted to join.
Oh yeah. Trust me, it's actually thrilling being a grandfather. I I never saw myself. I never thought there'd be a bunch of little people running around calling me Pop Pop. I would have never thought it when I was like 20 years old, but I mean, your grandbabies, the best thing about your grandbabies is when you get tired of them, you can give them back.
They gotta go home.
You get right on the phone, come get them. Come get them.
No, we are. Listen, we are getting ready. We're doing some remodeling to our home, and we putting in a room for the grandparents to make sure. So we want them comfy when these kids come in. So that's we ain't trying to have the grandparents be able to peace out all the time. We're like, listen, lay your head down, huh?
Let me tell you something. And let me tell you something, Brother Gabe. I piece them out, boy. Look, come get them. I piece them out now when I get tired of them. But they bring me a lot of joy. Bring me a lot of
fridge,
joy.
Food, anything, television. You got your own room, and then just stay a little while. Help us.
But see, that's the thing, Brother Gabe. Hey, that's the thing. See, I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid that, one of my kids, Dad, why don't y'all come live with us? They can help us with the kids. I don't want that conversation. I want to continue to live in my own damn house. I don't want to. No, I don't want to come live with you, Negroes.
We're looking to be
I want to live in my own house.
We're trying to persuade the grandparents on our side.
And the live-in babysitter,
Just a question.
I don't want to have that conversation. Go ahead.
A question X, and I want to pose it to Semper since he's new here.
Right.
Do you believe or do you think that a lack of the voice of family men in the space hurts it?
When you got men up in here who are married and they got children and they raising them, and as Brother X said, I agree with him. Once you become a family man, it makes you more responsible. If you give a damn about your family, those people around you, especially those children, your youngins, that's something to talk about, especially in this space with Black men, where we're talking about, trying to build family back together. With Black women in particular, women in general, but Black women in particular. Yeah, I think that it does hurt. I
was thinking from this perspective, Semper. Often it's stated, well, at least I hear, where Black men are not a monolith.
Right. True.
Or if you do not hear the perspective of Black men that have families, aren't you cutting off the perspective or a perspective that is needed in the space and causing the space to be more or less a monolith of individuals who are single?
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is okay, it's this way with me, okay? You got brothers up here, you got Black men here, Okay, and whether you have a family or not, you were born into one. Okay, you grew up yeah. So,
Is that me or is that him?
With family.
Brother Simper, you're experiencing technical difficulties with your microphone.
Oh, am I?
Something's going on there, brother.
Oh man. Okay, hold on. I gotta put my headset in there.
SKC, no, ain't nobody trying to hear from us compromise married brothers. Nobody trying to hear that.
We're simps.
Trying to hear all that.
If you're married, you're a simp.
Well, I don't think everybody holds that view, but I just think that
I think most.
I think that even the individuals that don't hold that view would be silent when stuff like that is stated.
The loudest detractor that I see in modern times right now against black men like us is black women, period. And most of the younger black men, they don't chime in until the chick chimes in first. That's that dear mama syndrome. A lot of these young boys, males that were raised without a father, they will sit silent until that harpy gets to bopping her beak first. Then he joins in after she gets to going. That's why when he hits the street, he's looking for that overbearing leadership like he had at his house without his father. Because as a father, we don't have to be overbearing. Our dominance is known right off the bat without a whole bunch of stuff. Whereas not all, but the majority of the women, they gotta go overboard to show dominance, and they really do it to their boys more so than they do their girls. And here's another one we've all heard: I can't stand looking at you. Not to us directly. You look just like your daddy, or you ain't gonna be SHIT. I've heard women say that when I was a youth to boy. I've heard them say it to friends of mine. You ain't SHIT, just like your daddy wasn't SHIT, and just like your daddy wasn't SHIT. Now, she done had 2 kids by 2 ain't shit dudes, but she okay. She ain't part of the equation. You know, she was duped. She was flim flam, bamboozled, hoodwink. You know what I mean? Lady, get out of here. You
taking advantage of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me shout out a couple of these super chats, man, for the folks get mad at me. Shout out to Brother Clue with the $5 super sticker. Appreciate that, Brother Clue. Also, let me scan down here. Brother Clue again with another $5 super chat. He says, loving the dialogue X. And also, Snuggles668 with the $5 super chat. He says, is it the problem that you all are married, or is it that what marriage has done to men in this country is the issue with the other crowd? That's a good question, Brother Snuggles. But what I think it is this.
No, Snuggles is female.
Oh, sorry, Lady
Snuggles is a woman, yeah.
Lady Snuggles, my bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say something. I was gonna say Snuggles a female, but they beat me too.
Oh, I thought it was the Snuggles that be on Brother Bernard's string.
Yeah,
is that the same Snuggles?
Okay. Yeah, he found out that she was a female also. Yeah, she told him.
So it's not a grown man talking about, hey man, call me Snuggles.
Right. my bad, Lady Snuggles. I didn't know. I didn't do that on purpose. Lady Snuggles, but
Snuggle Pimp.
Lady Snuggles poses a good question. But what I think it is this, and I'll let the other brothers chime in on this question as well. And we've been joined by Brother Zero as well. What I think it is that if you're a married guy with a family, and, you know, on these mediums, we often talk about women. We often talk about what women are going to be, what they're going to do, how they are, and all this kind of stuff. a lot of us guys who are married, we have something that a lot of brothers don't. We have something called a daughter. So when you have daughters, you have skin in the game. When you have children, you have skin in the game. And when you're a guy who doesn't have any children, you don't have as much skin in the game. You can afford to not care, all right? Because see, you're not sending people out there in the world to have to circumnavigate, through this thing called life. You don't have, that's not in your jacket. You know what I'm saying? That's not on paper for you. You don't have people that you're sending out in the world, and you want them to be able to, make their way through this world and be productive and, be solid people, be successful people. When you have children, that's part of your jacket. All right. That's in your human resume because you got these people that you're sending out there. So if you don't have that, that kind of puts you in a position where, you don't really, have to care about any of that kind of stuff. Right.
Indeed. And I look at it this way. I was on, whose show was I on? I think I was on Charles Faulkner Jr.'s show, and I was it got to the point we were talking so deep about family. It got to the point, man, where I started pulling out old family photo albums, man, and looking at my kids when they were babies, and seeing how, when I bought clothes for them, how I dressed them. They always like to be in front of the camera and take, pictures when they got new clothes and stuff like that. And well, that's my doing though. And I take all the flack for that willingly. And I mean, little things, my son, when he got to the point where he was walking well and, he's like, 4 or 5 years old, we had this ritual where, the minute that we walked out of the door, okay, we would clasp hands and we would hold hands when we walked. And one day I forgot to do that. And he looked back at me, and my son looked back at me and said, "Papa," I'm like, whoa. There was some exclamation that was coming from his chest, his little chest. And he was like, I'm like, what? I'm like, Chad, what's wrong? And he held out his hand. I'm like, oh, okay, I got you. Little stuff like that, man. When you're a parent, when you're a father, and I can only speak from the perspective of being a father. That's a big deal, because it's a big deal for your son. It's a father and son thing. That's my spiel.
Agreed. I want to get Brother Zero in here because he just joined. What's good, Brother Zero? Is he there? Paging Brother Zero. Paging Brother Zero.
Where's he at? I wonder if he's muted.
Brother Zero.
Drop zero.
Brother Zero is experiencing technical difficulties, so please stand by as we go to the next participant.
Time Zero.
Go ahead.
He's doing some work and you there, Zero?
Yeah, I was on mute. My bad. Right. And my audio was set to a different deal, so my bad. What's up, X? What's up, y'all?
What's good with it, man?
Yeah, a couple of things. Speaking to your topic about family, I know you was talking to Gabe earlier about the title, how family should be. So a couple things. No, I'm not gonna. No. Anyway, so earlier when you're talking about men haven't thought these things out, that's not true. Men have thought it out, and this is why, like, when I do repeat history and stuff like that, that's why it's important to know that, because all of the stuff that you say that men have not thought about, they've already thought about. Also, it's not a blind application of saying that like all women. The problem is, after a while, you get to a point where you no longer have to pre-qualify every statement with not all, not all, not all, because then you get into the nuance of why not all, and that's pretty much the difference. So as far as the show topic though, it's like,
you don't want me to respond to that?
There's no need.
I mean,
because you okay.
There is.
I mean, all right, I'll put it this way. You made an assumption that men have not thought this out, and then I said they have because. So there's no need for no response for that.
So
because you didn't know the history of that.
So you don't need history, and the context was that of single fatherhood coming from surrogacy. And I said that I do not believe that men in this space who are promoting that or who don't even live that life have really thought out all the possibilities and all the intricacies of raising a child by yourself. That is,
again, there's tens of thousands of hours of conversations about this. They way
back.
Be
on them lives for long periods of time, but I'm saying that people
not
who
even lives. That's what I mean about history. Not even lives. Like even if you go back before live streaming was a thing, people made videos. There's thousands of hours of content on this stuff where people actually thought through all of this stuff, what it means, how to do it, where to do it, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, the context is important because we're specifically talking about this space.
Understood. But again, there's thousands of hours of this stuff out there. So men have thought it out. That was the point. Men have thought it out. So
no, but it's okay.
as far as the topic, like through your parents, or worse, like the harsh teachings of experience without parents or family, you find out or you figure out that people have the same selfishness, the same aspirations, goals, needs, wants, desires, blah, blah, all the same stuff that you do. And your parents or your family is supposed to teach you this. So without family, you don't get the worldview that you're not the center of the earth. That's like the very first thing that people learn from their family, because I mean, as you can see, a lot of people in our society is very selfish. We have a very, very self-centered society because, I mean, we don't have familial institution as a default anymore, and that's and the thing is, that's a specifically westernized or American type of deal. So, and this doesn't mean that people are evil or have a singular agenda towards a specific person or towards you or whatever. The thing is that family is like that mechanism that educates you about all of that, about life. And at the same time, it gives you the understanding and competitiveness and cooperativeness, because you need that. You need all of it to live in a society. It doesn't matter how small or large it is. Now, when we take the position and make an assumption that the majority and minority of men and women are the same or have the same circumstances in society, that's where a lot of our arguments fall apart, because we don't. Men and women do not have the same societal advantages and disadvantages. We simply don't. I mean, proof of that, all you have to do is look at our laws. The laws are in the books. The laws are in public. Anybody can go see them. Anybody can go read them. Now, again, there's no assumptions from the side that speaks to issues without malice. So if you don't speak to an issue without any, if you speak to an issue without any malice, even if you do make an assumption, it's not because you're just trying to blanket shit on people. It's more just you see what's happening. And you say, oh, and you're speaking to what you're seeing. But I will agree that there's a lot of people, and I do think that those people are the minority, and you can look at the stats on, but the minority always has the loudest voices. They always chirp the most. They always talk the most. They always come with they'll repeat the same things over and over and over until you start to believe it. And one of the bottom lines of all of this stuff is that many of the men that speak about the destructive, or I suppose not destructive, but I guess more non-productive issues like pump and dump and all the rest of it that are like anti-family and stuff like that, whatever else they're talking about, they're simply on the side of like they're tired of trying to beat the odds, because beating the odds is not an objective when it comes to family. Guidance and love, sure, but not beating the odds. That's supposed to be normal. It's supposed to be normal to acquire a family. It's supposed to be normal to maintain success. It's supposed to be normal to perpetuate your own family with another woman. my last point, for American men to be so concerned about family, or Western men, we don't really perform traditional family practices. I mean, family didn't start in America. America is young. We're a young government as opposed to the rest of the world. But here, instead of our societal system that we have, which is young, like I said, it's not the same as everywhere else in the world, which is where family started everywhere else in the world. Likewise, the societal system changed, and instead of adapting to it, we instead we kind of still try to do the old thing within a new system. And people who are for marriage or pro or whatever, they have the same views, or even the people who aren't married but hold the same views, they preach this needle in a haystack thing. And no one's trying to do that. Well, most of the people aren't trying to do that. Now, you should seek out the person that you should be with. Yeah, that all makes sense. And people do, like, every day. But for a lot of the people that actually see what is actually in majority society, there's no need for anecdotes. It's all in front of your face. So no one's trying to do needle in the haystack. And then the truth of the matter is, families are created and maintained the same way they've been throughout the entire history of humans. You need a woman for families, but that woman will need to be amendable, thus young, and the men will have to be older. That's a feasible solution that every other culture in the world takes part in, except America. Well, except us, because we're trying to do an old thing within a new system. But that old thing is what we adapted to during a specific time frame, which was post-war after Britain. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that. We're not going to get out of this by doing the same. We're not going to get out of this by trying to resist change. I'll put it that way.
How are we
going to have to adapt?
Adapt it in what way? Because a lot of brothers in this space promote saying pump and dump, don't get married, right? I mean,
adapt where, okay. For example, we got two people on the panel, or one now, no, two, that actually did get wives that were outside of the culture.
So adapt by SYSBM.
Yeah, gotcha. And they still have black families. That's the thing about it. That it's a frustrating notion to say that you don't have a black family because you marry somebody outside of the culture. And the reason why is because if we're going to say that they don't have black families, then what about all light-skinned people in your family? You don't fuck with them anymore? What about all, you get what I'm saying? So you have to be able to
you have to be able to adapt. That last part.
I'm sorry?
You lost me on that last part there.
What do you mean?
I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I don't want to take anything out of context.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for what's your question?
No, I mean you said about the light skin, because I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand what you
Gotcha. So when people say, like, if you don't marry an ADOS chick or whatever, if you're not with if you're not with Keisha, then your family's not black, and then it's like, okay, then is your mixed cousins?
I don't need that. I wouldn't have that type of negativity around me. But
right, but you can't. I mean, you can't escape it. But let's just say you're in your family and your friends, are like, well, you don't have a black family because your kids are mixed, and it's like, well, there's a bunch of people with mixed kids right now, and even if they're not, like, let's just say your wife is black, but she's just not Keisha. Or some chick from your neighborhood or whatever. She's not ADOS. Doesn't matter. Now, so your family members aren't black simply because they have lighter skin than you, which I call bullshit on, because I mean just look around you. We have mixed people in the space that are black or
well, sure, because a lot of
strict
people
claim black.
I mean, yeah, it don't apply to me, but I understand because the odds of somebody being pure anything in this society, because I I'm one of the few we've traced our lineage, but I still consider myself black. My wife is as dark as I am, so but I don't trip on people that go their own way. I tell them, man, I always tell people, don't let somebody from that lives outside your house try to dictate to you how you should feel about the person that's in your house. I
Right,
said, if
true.
you want to marry Keisha, let him have her. And the main, and not in your case, but have some say, a lot of the ones that say that, they don't even be married. I'm like, that's so,
Yeah.
dude, how you gonna get on him
Right. And
about
there's
marrying
that too.
a non-black, and you ain't even married? And one dude in this space that's a pretty big guy, you got 3 kids by 3 different chicks, but you want to talk about this man that's married to a white woman and he got 2 kids and they from her.
Right.
Well, I do think that there is an element of SYSBM where certain dudes that says that, well, yeah, you go and marry somebody from another culture, and you go to that other culture, you kind of become that, right? So everything, I guess, American black, those elements of American black culture aren't all the time promoted within that household. So from a cultural perspective, yeah, it's not really black, but in the, I guess, the biological makeup of the children and the family, yeah, it could still be black. But there are elements of people saying, let's just completely, like, there is no Marvin Gaye in the household. There is no chicken, right? Fried chicken. Like, a lot of the elements, like, those are funny elements, but so there are
Well,
elements of that.
this is the thing, though. I think a lot of times, we get caught up in between black being a descriptor as a color or a class. And I think we kind of get it. It gets hazy in there sometimes.
That's because it's both.
Or a
Yeah.
construct. A construct.
Yeah. It
construct, for
gets a
sure.
little it gets a little hazy
Shared
in there
experiences,
sometimes. And people have their own definitions, I guess, of what black is. So if you find yourself with somebody who may not necessarily be Keisha from up the block, all right, she may be someone else, Quanetta from Brazil, but she still may be a hue of brown, or she may be a lighter hue of brown, and your children are a mixture of you and her. So when they look at them, they don't see them as the black that they know,
The
because
biological makeup.
they don't see that as black. So when they look at your children, they're like, oh man, those kids aren't black. I know. I have 3 biracial grandchildren. I have 5 grandchildren, and 3 of them are biracial. And if I catch one of you Negroes within my earshot saying some nonsense, not only will I, well, never mind. But
X marks the spot, right? X marks the spot.
There you go.
So
Hey, Gabe,
I mean,
on one thing you were saying so far is the cultural aspect of inside the family. I don't think it has to do with Xing out Marvin Gaye and all that type of stuff. I think what it has to do with is, why would you want to go out, build something different, and then reinsert or teach cultural values that work against everything that you've just built?
Oh, listen, I'm all for male autonomy. Like, if brothers feel like they want to go to a different country, establish a family there, raise them within a different society and a different economic structure, that's cool. But a lot of those ADOS American black elements, a lot of times, are not a part of a lot of those families because they are in a whole different country.
Right. So when you say that, what do you mean by ADOS elements? Give me some examples of that.
Okay, so the funny ones, right? The Marvin Gaye, hustles, right? The grandma cooking greens, right? Those are maybe some of the soft ones. But just even understanding what the experience is of adults here in America, right? Understanding kind of some of the makeup, right, as it concerns black inventors, black entrepreneurs. I mean, you can learn that, but I think that, and Nick can kind of bring this up probably too, is that in Detroit we had an African World Museum, right? As I was coming up, man, that was a big part of what we were learning. So in 1997, they did a whole refurbishing and a redesign of that museum. And as a kid, going and learning about my lineage and where my people come from. I mean, of course, right? Kwanzaa is not an African thing, but it is a part of Adolph's Black, right? It is a part of parts of Adolph's Black, right? Understanding some of those roots from Africa, but just even I think it's also a lived experience too of being Black, like Bikoy, right? Mama's cooking. You don't get that from Germany, right? You don't necessarily get that from Belize or
everybody's mama's cook. So
I mean, but there's a certain cuisine that's Adolph's, that's Black American. So,
yeah, and I'll give you that.
I don't think you have to be.
Yeah, and I'll give you those things, but to give you an example, would you say that the majority of the individuals within the culture celebrate the things that you just talked about?
The majority of the people in the culture celebrate the things I just talked about.
Yeah, like you said, that museum, you know, all of the different inventors and blah blah blah. I would even give you old style music.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're from Hitsville, USA. Me and Gabe are so. Yeah, we're from Hitsville.
I mean, they literally bust us kids. Like they put us all on buses from all Detroit public schools, and they say, "This is what y'all gonna learn today. This is what y'all gonna experience." So I think that it might be generational, it might be regional, but I can't say that it's the majority values the things that I just spoke of. But I do think that they are characteristic. They are characteristic of.
Because I'll give you this. Let me help. I'll give you this, Gabe, really quickly. One key element that came out of American Black culture was jazz.
Absolutely.
And yet you have different populations all over the world that venerate that era and that art form more than Black people can we do that right now.
But can we do that with Chinese culture? When we say that Black people have took Chinese food and revolutionized it to where, you know, we're thankful about the Chinese traditions, but right now it has a Black face on it. Can we say that? I'm just asking.
Wow, not straight out like that.
No. I've heard of that one.
No, not at all. I haven't heard of that.
So that's why every time there's something that Black comes up, whether it's Motown, jazz, art, or even fraternities, because you got like Asian people trying to step.
Oh, you know? Divine Nine, right? Black fraternities, HBCUs. Those are very much
every time we do something that happens to be, you know, somewhat to where it appears to be co-opted or taken over. Oh, it's okay, blah blah blah. You don't have to worry about it. They're just doing whatever. But when it's in other cultures where it could be something co-op, there's an issue. So my whole thing is, why we are the Jesus of throwing away things that we worked hard over the years and established.
Well, because
I'm always curious about that.
We don't appropriate other people's things. We don't, because everybody takes everything from Black people and everybody else. But see, we as Black people, if we do stuff that other people do, the first thing they say is, "Oh man, you being white. Oh, you're doing the white stuff. You're doing the white this. You're doing the white that." So I would venture to say that there are many things that we can look at other people and adapt some of those things, especially when it comes to finances, especially when it comes to wealth building, especially when it comes to legacy, especially when it comes to family building. I have no problem with Black people culturally appropriating some of those things from other races, whether it be white, Latino, Asian, or Martian. You know, if we can.
T-Pop, we got hustles. Like, what you mean? We got hustles.
But there's one thing though.
He said hustles.
Gabe and Art. Black people can't blame the appropriation of something like jazz to other people. You can hold on to it if you wanted to. They
well, it's not a blame thing though. I don't think it's a blame thing, but we I think we are allowed to observe. You know, what's being taken place. But wait, hold on, man. But what I'm trying to say is that since we're observing these things, I think we as a people have to decide, you know, if things are worth preserving. What's his name? Ecstasy from Houdini. If y'all see one of his interviews, he said that the white rock fans they really hold their you know, like their what do you call their classic rock people in high regards. You got a Rolling Stones in their 70s still touring and selling out. And so they do uphold that. Whereas when, you know, the stuff that put us on the map, when they start touring, they're a bunch of old niggas.
Correct.
You know, there's a dysfunction here. I'm trying to say there's a dysfunction, and I can't really blame the people for getting on their hustle. And by the way, a lot of these people that are like the Asians and the Arabs or whatever, they got that stuff from the silent generation. Let's keep it a buck. They observe all the stuff that our grandparents have done. And so they're the ones that pretty much, while we're getting our asses beat, they were looking behind the bushes taking notes. And I can't fault them for that. But we just can't say, hey, man, they came through. And if they make it, why can't you? You know, some things you got to call things out the way they are, fam.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. The only issue that I'm finding is take for instance jazz. It being passed down from generation to generation has everything to do with family and legacy. Everything. And when you break up family and legacy, that's when you lose a major art form. And because other people had family and legacy, they were able to capture something else from a different culture and then appropriate it and move it along theirs.
Let's massage that a little bit.
Because don't you
that's
lose
very
power,
important you said that.
Right? If you don't have family and if you lose family and legacy, don't you lose a degree of power as well?
But this is important. He said something very important here because you got to remember a lot of our stuff, whether it's blues, a lot of that stuff was based on, you know, pain and suffering, right? Jazz, basically not being classically trained, so you were able to improv and do things that nobody was used to hearing. You know, you have all these different things coming from struggles. But if think about this, and I don't know, I mean, put it this way, y'all. When brothers talk, I'm gonna just say this right now. When brothers say things like what I'm about to say, it's not complaining, it's observing. Okay. Now, if you think about this, these that are coming from struggles, the people that have cultures that are intact families and all that kind of stuff, they are the ones that are being accused of misappropriating. Make that make sense?
Sure. What usually is done in a lot of those situations is where, because like you said, some of the music was born out of a particular lifestyle, a particular struggle, or whatnot. However, when that generation, who were venerated by their own, a lot of the old jazz musicians and so forth, they could go to their hometown, sell out in the juke joint, and do their thing, and then go to other places and make money as well. But as time progressed, because of the broken family structure, when that was passed down to their relatives and so forth, the individuals that were coming up around them then, they didn't want to hear none of that stuff. So in order for them to survive, they had to take their art form to other countries, other places, and those people venerated them for it. And then they picked it up and passed it along to their own because they had, oh yeah, my grandfather took me to this BB King concert when he came over to Japan. Okay, well then they passed down, but black folk didn't uphold him at all.
Nah, it's a lot of thieves worldwide of black culture. I don't think that's the only reason. I do think that that's one of the reasons, probably, but a lot of people just steal a lot from black culture. In my opinion,
every culture gets their stuff stolen. There has not ever been a culture that has ever lost a war and got dominated that hasn't had their stuff stolen. All of them. Astrology came from a stolen culture. I mean, trigonometry came from a stolen culture.
So you're saying that it happened?
Black.
It happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
The problem is, what y'all are discussing is like monoculture versus multiculturalism. Multiculturalism never works. The culture that you have is the country you live in, the nation that you're under. You wouldn't even be having these problems if black people adopted whatever culture whatever nation they live in. That's the only difference between us and any other race on the planet. All other races, aside from us, identify with their national culture, and we don't. That's the only difference. So the stuff that we talk about, or I guess quote unquote complain about, wherever you want to call it, is stuff that wouldn't exist when you adopt your nation's culture, because you don't get your stuff appropriated under one culture. You just don't, because it exists for that culture. Like I mean, look at America. America adopted hip hop. I mean, hip hop culture is literally American culture. There's no facet of American society that it doesn't touch. Even truck commercials that used to have country music is all hip hop now. So the thing is, with the appropriation, we can say it's appropriation, but it wouldn't be if we basically adopted the one culture. The biggest problem with what we're doing right now is like black people will do something, somebody else will copy it, and then we'll co-sign the copy. We co-sign the copy, and before it goes into like this whole mass appropriation, we co-sign it. We bring in the people that take stuff. We bring them in. We bring in the white rappers. We bring in the white R&B. We bring in the white dancers, or the Asian dancers. Asian dancers are the best black dancers on the planet right now.
How can we bring in these people if we don't control the industry? How can we bring in people if we don't control the industry? It's being brought in.
Yeah. Do we bring them in, or do they infiltrate? Do we bring them in, or do they infiltrate?
It's both, but it's both. But it's the same thing. We bring them in.
Black
Every time we do something, we bring them in. I get it. Like when the record labels are formed, so, somebody with a yarmulke is like in control of the money or whatever. But we bring in the people.
You can't bring in anybody if you don't have the sources to the advertising streams. You don't have the way to get.
No, I get it. By the time it gets to the business end of it, yeah, it's too late. But we bring in, I guess, the quote unquote talent. We bring in these people. We go, this guy white and he's rapping. He's cool. Let's hang out with him. Yeah, this guy. Or this guy's white. Oh, he can dance. Oh man, that's cool. Let's bring it because it's novel. It's a novelty.
They're shoved down our throats. Like if they're on every commercial, if they're on every platform, if they're on everything.
I did specifically say even before it gets to the business aspect.
Let me like
even when it's at grassroots level, we bring in the other people.
No.
Let me put some meat out there, Zero. Vanilla Ice versus Eminem. Break that down for me.
There's a documentary on Eminem and what's his name, Kid Rock. There's some producers that they dropped that brought them into the industry, brought them out of their suburban homes and into the industry. Now, again, by the time it got to Dre and Interscope taking over Eminem and Kid Rock, it was too late by then because they had already provided them the buzz and everything else. But those
Eminem is not from a suburban home. I'm sorry, he's just not.
No. There's a documentary on dude. I mean, he's not denying any of that. They trace this dude's address, everything from time he was like a baby. So again, if it's not true, then he has a slander lawsuit, but he hasn't done any of that. So anyway, those guys are not hood people, and even if they were, it doesn't. Let's just take that all out of it. Even if they were in the hood, so what? That doesn't matter. Fact of the matter is, the producers that put them on, the producers that got them into the national spotlight, that got them the attention of Interscope and the other big record labels, were those producers. They dropped those producers. Those producers are on the books as having brought them into the hip hop industry. So that is, like I said, that's us bringing people in. No one would ever knew who they were.
Black people brought in Vanilla Ice, fam.
I don't know Vanilla Ice's direct history. I do know Kid Rock's and Eminem's, but I don't know with Vanilla Ice. I have no idea.
You know, from my sources, black people did not bring in Vanilla Ice, but he was supposed to be the first Eminem.
Right. Yeah, he went diamond.
About Macklemore. Like, there's so many. We didn't do this. I'm sorry.
Hey, yeah, Macklemore was industry product. So was after New Edition, they started manufacturing white boy bands. Now we didn't bring those people in. No, we didn't do that. But for the most part, like when things, and this is why I said when things are grassroots, we be bringing people in. You know, and it's just like the white girl in the hood that can dance. And everybody, she wins all the dance contests is just because she's white.
But the thing that the stuff that I'm hearing, fam, and I know we're going to bring it back to the whole family thing, but the things that you're bringing up is very rare when somebody that's white was brought in. Like an Eminem is a rare thing. Hell, average white band was rare. You know, those are rare things. The other things were just like the Pat Boones and the Elvis Presleys, where they were the ones that were pushed on us by the industry. And, you know, the whole thing was that let's go with the Beatles coming up with the Isley Brothers rendition of things. And so therefore, even though the Isley came out with it first, since the Beatles called it race music and they came out with it, bam, they got more of a bigger success just because they sung it. And everybody knows that Isley was way better. So, you know, I'm hearing what you're saying. But I think for the most part, from history going all the way down, the way they get down is to corner the market and damn near force people to say, hey, this is a different face. I know you like black stuff, but this is a white face. These are white people. We can do it too, and it sells.
That's the exact same example I gave about the big booty white girl winning dance contests just because she's white. It's the same example.
It's coming from the hood, though. You're saying that we brought that in there. And I'm no. I mean, that's a rare occasion. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I get what you're saying. As far as like, yeah, I get what you're saying. As far as like on the business level, where they go, no, you're gonna listen to this person, and all that. But as far as like when we have our art forms, a lot of times we're the ones who bring in the novelty. You know, there's only so many times you're listening to all the black dudes with the hot bars.
I mean, there was a Chuck Berry before there was an Elvis Presley.
Yes,
yeah,
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Doesn't that go back to though the fact that we have a lack of we don't have that sense of family, because when you're talking about keeping things, you know, quote unquote, in the family, these people wouldn't be bringing the white boy that can dance in or can rap in, or the big booty white girl who can dance or rap in. Doesn't that go back to we have that lack of familial loyalty, right?
Yeah, I would say that exists in a very small sector of like black gospel music, especially in Detroit. Like, you still got like the Winans, you still got the Shears, you still got certain families who pretty much like they own black gospel music, or that particular sector of black gospel music. So I do think it exists in very small pockets in certain areas. So, so to your point, I'm saying the family structure is the thing that kept that type of music or that sector of music black, and it kept it in the family. So I do see positive or examples of it being successful.
Well, I'll say this, Gabe. Take for instance, like all the things that like Semper and Art brought up about, you know, times of old where you had old black music that was the white face was put on it and resold. All right.
Right.
If you have strong family structures in place, that lesson is passed down to where when you get to the time of a hip hop, then you would have individuals that would say, "Oh no, we're not falling for the okie doke again."
Right.
My dad, my grandfather told me about this.
Yeah.
But since you didn't
Yeah.
have it, you had a whole bunch of young bucks that was like, "Oh, we didn't arrive," and then getting done like the dudes that in the 50s and 40s and 30s were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
like I said,
That's key, man.
I think all of
Well,
that would work if black people had their own nation. I think the thing that's being lost on us is where else does this situation exist in the rest of the world? You live within a nation, but you're trying to have your own nation within that nation. Where like it's just like somebody see you throw a rock super far because you use some type of technique where you can sling your arm in a specific way. You live in that nation, it's going to copy it because you live in that nation.
Yeah, but
kinda
even
backs up.
in that nation, don't you still need families? Or even if black people had their own nation and there was a failing in the whole familiar system, that nation wouldn't be worth a damn either, would
No,
it?
you need
No,
you
it
need
would
your
fall.
family. You need your family for pretty much all the reasons you guys were talking about earlier. I mean, you need your families to instill like responsibility and teach you competitiveness and not have you try to like coddle your way through life and all the rest of you. You need your families for that. But I'm talking about as far when it extends outside like to society at large. That is basically society is basically an extended family of people, and all you're doing is if you live in a nation where you're trying to have multiculturalism never works is what I'm saying. It never has and never will. It never will. There's no such thing as multiculturalism that'll survive long term. It just never has. And again, it never will. The only way you're going to have to, we'd have to have our own country. We'd have to have our own land in order to achieve what we're talking about as far as like separation of arts, separation of technology and whatnot. That it's not going to happen under another nation.
Okay. So what I'm trying, I think tying SKC and Zero's point, I think that really applies to like the last 15 to 20 years, or probably a little longer. Before
Far,
that, that's
far as what?
yeah.
Far as what, brother Art? Far as what?
When they were talking about, how, it's so easy to lose out on your arts and stuff like, or even just have it to where it's not even considered stealing anymore. It's more of either borrowing or taking or whatever. It's just not a big deal anymore to most people. But when you're listening to our parents and our grandparents, my mother and a lot of older folks that I've listened to, it was always about Stax Records, and it was always about Motown. When the Beatles and all these other people were coming out or whatever, they weren't really feeling them. They weren't really feeling Elvis Presley. They weren't. They did keep the arts intact more instinctly. Anything else, they didn't have people. They didn't have like. I take that back. They did have ceremonies on promoting it, stuff like that. I think as time progressed, things just got more easier to infiltrate, you know. And I think one of the formulas was really taking away the conversation of maintaining the skills and creativity of artists and leave the standards up to the industry. And so that did take away from the family concept, because the family was more like, let's take Joe Jackson. But the people may say things about the brother, but he kept the talent in his family intact. Usually they kept poking at Michael to get him away from them, you know, and this is where we at. So it's, even though we talk about Tulsa, there's little small Tulsas in our sector, that we don't talk about as far as the family concept. So the question, what I would ask is, how would you be able to at least preserve things for the young, preserve the arts and things for the young? Because what we have done back in the all these days, all the history times, whatever, that really put black people on the map. Every time you hear Dizzy Gillespie, that's black. If a white man tries to
Oh yeah.
do his rendition of Dizzy Gillespie, he's still imitating a black man. If there's somebody and why you think Jimi Hendrix is the most number one guitarist in the world after so many years of being dead? Because everything that he did, he did it first. Everybody else that plays, they gonna say, man, he sounds like Jimi Hendrix. You
Yeah.
know,
Thelonious
this
Monk,
is the
Charlie Parker,
any of these
Bebop,
guys, man.
all of
So it's
them.
like, where do matter of fact, I'm gonna throw this to Zero and SKC. Okay,
Y'all
is
know
it?
who Jimmy copied, right?
Well, there's a lot of things. I believe it's John Lee Hooker
No. I mean, not in a diss. I mean, because this is a good thing. Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry.
Right. Yeah, those is idols, right?
Yeah, Bo Diddley. I tell people, listen to Bo Diddley. You talk. Well, my family owned a vinyl record store that owned it since the 70s. Listen to Bo Diddley. But go ahead, y'all.
To us, that would be considered passing it down, right? From a older dude to a younger dude, but some
Yes.
people are against. So I'm like this, is the way we're talking right now, and as far as the things that we consider in black culture, that's not the whole boom quisha thing and all that, but as far as that considered as great to where it's hard to imitate. To you guys right now, is this worth preserving as black people? I'm curious.
I would
Is
say
what
yes,
we're preserving.
because every culture preserves their arts.
No, but I'm
And
sorry, Eric. I need to hear from SKC and Zero, the
Our arts are
absolutists.
preserved. I don't see how they're not. I mean, in order for like
White
the youth
black
to learn
people.
about them, yeah, in order for the youth or black youth to learn about them, that's more of an educational problem. That's an institutional issue with education. You teach them what their history is. I mean, the arts aren't going anywhere. The arts are not lost. The history is the history. Everyone currently knows where it came from, and it's up to our educational institutions to perpetuate that. That doesn't change. Even if it's appropriated by other races, that doesn't matter. The history is still there.
I'll agree with Zero Art, but I'll say this. I think I know where you're coming from so far as personal feeling toward it. Yeah, personal feeling. I do think it should be preserved. But I also have the personal feeling that the majority of the individuals within current black culture could care less if it's preserved or not. A lot of the individuals.
Now, I mean, reason why I'm asking that is
when
I think we have a lot
when Nick
big
was doing
difference.
when Nick was doing his thing, when X was playing, his rendition of
today's hip hop.
The Pump the Brakes generation, they don't know who Charlie Parker is. They don't know who Gillespie is. They could care less.
because nobody's teaching them about who they are.
Right. I mean, they barely know who Hendrix
What's the
is.
Pump the Brakes generation? Like, what's the pump? What is that? What is that?
Oh, you must have not. You must have not watched
the mumble generation,
yeah.
Gabe. The mumble
You
rappers.
talking about millennials? You talking about us? Come on, man.
No,
That's
not
fine.
us.
Yeah,
I ain't no
partially.
millennial. I'm in my
You must not have
millennial.
watched the
No,
Nick Kelly
I'm talking about
experience.
A lot of that generation art,
Mm-hmm.
jazz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm trying to, because I hear certain things, not this panel, but I'm hearing the sentiment that is like, you don't, it's nothing to even preserve. Things are just ever flowing and growing, and just let it be what it is, where everybody else is making sure their stuff is preserved, regardless of what country they stay in. When I go to different festivals, because I do go to like South Pacific festivals, I go to Indian Fest, I go to all these different things. I have friends from all parts of the world. And when I'm looking at the way they preserve things, I can't be mad at them, and I'm just sitting there like,
It's a
ahead.
weird thing, Art, because again, a lot of that stuff, it's cultural, but that is built around the family. And
Yeah.
when you have individuals that are stating that, family ain't important, well, the first thing that's gonna go with that is art. I mean, when you have individuals that say, oh man, I just need to make my money, then you're gonna have individuals that's gonna sell out your art for as much money as they can get
every time.
When you have individuals that say,
chips.
take for something as simple as baseball art. Good. Atlanta had a golden opportunity to venerate Hank Aaron in his home state, but they were so built on Stacey Abrams and racism and the BLM stuff and blah blah blah. You sent the All-Star game to Colorado instead of honoring Hank Aaron. And where does that come from? That comes from, well, back in the day, baseball was a father-son sport or whatnot. But since that's not important in the Black community, we don't give a damn about Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're a baseball fan or a particular sports fan, I get where you're coming from. But again, that's learned. Culture is learned. Arts are learned, and it comes from the family from which the family members. You have family. You have people who are family. These people who we're talking about. These artists and these entertainers and all these different types of people. Okay, to some degree, they had family. Okay, and what you pass down to your family is going to decide how significant this is to continue. Okay, to preserve it, to continue to teach the next generation of children, and young folks, okay, and perhaps even get them interested in doing that type of thing, okay. But if you don't have a connection from childhood to teach you the importance of these things, preserving arts, preserving skills, and these types of things, and venerating these people who brought this about, if they're not learning that, okay, I mean, how can you expect them? You expect them to just learn it on their own? They need help.
Yeah, they don't.
That.
They don't give a damn about it.
I'm
they don't
all
care
for
about it.
Preserving arts and stuff like that, but when you look at it, I mean, if we gotta be even-handed about it, just like how jazz, is our stuff, baseball isn't our stuff. I get the sentimental attachment to Hank Aaron, and I completely understand that, but that's not our sport.
But the thing is, what the sentiment behind that is that Hank Aaron is ours.
No, Hank Aaron is ours. Yes.
Right. Okay.
What we're talking about will be the equivalent of a white person getting mad because some white rapper didn't get celebrated in the way they thought he should.
No, he's not criticizing white people. He's talking
no.
about
I know he's not criticizing white people. I'm just saying, when the way I'm looking at this right now is, for instance, just like we want to preserve our stuff, we also have to look at the converse of that. That like baseball isn't our sport. Now I heard somebody says who? Again, that's the same thing. Then you can make the argument. Like jazz is our stuff. Says who? You see what I'm saying? This is why multiculturalism.
Well, I did hear that they used to play baseball at the pyramids right after they built them. So they might have played baseball.
What I was saying,
man, some Negroes want to claim everything.
What I was saying is not Zero is not so far as baseball, that's going to be a black thing. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that from the early 1900s up until around circa 1950-ish, you did have a significant number of young black men that were playing baseball.
No, okay, SKC, I understand that point. I completely understand that. But if we're going to take the position of then this is why I keep pointing to multiculturalism versus just having a monoculture, because you don't have any of these problems at all. If you want our black athletes and stuff to be celebrated under stuff that we quote unquote didn't invent or whatever like that, then you embrace your culture versus your separation culture. That's the thing. So if you want to preserve all of the stuff that you want to preserve, then you just put it under one culture and there you go. is very easy. Otherwise, we end up with this unnecessary nuance of what we were just talking about. How, okay, and I agree. Yeah, Hank Aaron should be celebrated. The man, he did historical feats. That's what he did in the sport. So he should definitely be celebrated. Regardless, he should. But at the same time, if we're talking about preservation of cultural aspects and stuff like that, you gotta be fair about that. That's pretty much my whole point.
Okay, well, I think we're on the similar strand, but what I'm saying, this deals with the thought of family, because typically when you had individuals within baseball, you had linkages to other men. Hank Aaron, even Ken Griffey, his father, Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, there were links to men. But now you did different sports where black men, and the linkage is always relegated to women.
Right.
That's never done in baseball, ever. And that was lost because you had individuals that had wanted to go into this whole broken family system, and that culture of father-son is gone. And that's why it was so easy for individuals just to turn their back on Hank Aaron, because that's not important.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Not so far as just the sport. I'm talking about just the linkage to father-son.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely. Yeah, and that's a problem, and that is specifically a black family problem.
Yeah, it is, because if you think about.
Hold on a second, Brother Simple. We have this question up here from Brother Ray Alexander. Now he focused it on Brother Zero, but I'm gonna ask everybody. He says, if a nation is needed, then why are almost all sub-Saharan African and Black Caribbean nations dysfunctional and corrupt? There are no successful black nations. Foreignpolicy.com. What do you brothers think about what Brother Ray Alexander had to say?
Oh, wow. Listen.
Okay. Does he know anything about war?
Say what?
What does he know about war?
I know a lot about it. Been to 3 of them.
Okay, we got military dude on the panel. So,
we got a couple.
So, if you know the history of the world, not just black history, world history, unfortunately, black people, black nations, I suppose you want to say, have always been like the brunt of wars. So all of this stuff happened a long time ago. One of the reasons why you don't see, I guess, first world black nations, if you want to call it that, is that black people had the shit taken. I mean, if we want to use the most simple terms available, you know what the De Beers Company is? The people who went over there, and they claim ownership to all of the shiny rocks.
De Beers, DuPont.
Raleigh
and Rothschild.
Thank you. There's a lot of European countries over companies that have that claim ownership to all African nation resources. And when one of the black leaders decided to make a change to that system by backing their money with real gold, he was killed. Yeah. So I mean,
and guess that would have happened to any. You could have made
that would have made
the leader of Lithuania take that same stance. He would have got killed.
He would have got killed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so that's the thing. Like you do kind of have to look at how the world works and how countries operate as opposed to just citizens as well. So war is real. I'll just put it that way.
Oh, indeed. And the world, in the pockets of the world that are at war now, we could name several of them.
To the victor goes the spoils.
Yeah, and this isn't even a victimhood thing. This is just literally how the world works. War is like right now, America is subjugating the shit out of Venezuela. They owe us a lot of money because we loaned them a lot of money. You know what happened when they tried to pay us back by using their petrodollar? They used crypto. We bankrupted them again in conjunction with China back in 2017 because we don't want them to pay us back. Why? Because they have a bunch of oil that we want.
We have more oil than they do.
Yes, but we don't want to use ours.
Right. It just like, and on the diamond thing, I told people, I said, imagine if the diamonds, and I don't say diamonds, I say diamonds. I can, but that's the way you're supposed to say it. You say,
that's the way it's pronounced. Yeah, diamond. Yeah,
you say diamonds and lithium. If they were and lignite was below, it was in China, everybody would have invaded China a long time ago.
Right. Exactly.
It's not, because God was saying, well, they just doing it because they're black. No, they're doing it because they have what the world wants.
Yeah,
well, I mean, in fact, let's look at the opium wars.
Japan went to China.
Yeah,
and sacked them.
China got subjugated multiple times.
Japan
Remember the opium wars?
Ruled China for the longest. They called them the sick man of the East.
Yeah, the British wanted them to buy opium, and the British wanted them to buy opium. The British had hold of some opium. They wanted the Chinese people to buy it and become junkies.
Yep.
And when the Chinese said hell no, they said, oh yeah, really? Okay, we coming.
No. Wait. They did get the whole country strung out. No. They actually did. The opium wars was
a trade company that was ran by Britain.
What I'm saying, Zero, is that when the Chinese government tried to resist, this is why I said, well, Britain said, oh no, we're coming by sea. That's why I said that.
Yeah, because
they come by sea.
That's because you can't fight a war with a country full of dope fiends.
Yeah. That's true too.
Man, everything was about conquest. A lot of things, the majority of everything was about conquest. I tell people, if a certain country didn't have, if this place didn't have vanilla, if this place didn't have cocoa beans, if this place didn't have, you see where I'm going.
Right.
Would nobody be going? Would nobody be going there screwing with you?
Cortez and the gang would have never ravaged through South and Central America had they not had all that gold down there.
And then that landmass labeled the continent of Africa is still among the richest in the world when you talk about natural resources, because they still mining in it.
If America didn't have coal and crude, if America didn't have coal, cattle, and crude oil, would nobody in the 1600s, in the 1700s gave a damn about but we got the cattle, we got crude oil, because they used to use whale oil,
right?
But whaling became harder and harder because whales are aware, they're smart, where crude oil is just a substance. It's not going to try to run it can't run and hide from you. You know what I'm saying?
Also, whales have a population. Which
and if
severely
you
diminished
faster than they can reproduce, so they had to find an alternative. And
there is that.
And y'all know I'm in Texas, so oil. I'm in the Eagle Ford. That is my part of my job. That's where my money come from. I make my bones out here in the South Texas oil field. So people have no idea. Not talking about you. I mean, the majority of people, if I tell them, quick, name me 5 things to come out of a barrel of crude oil, they wouldn't be able to tell me. They wouldn't be able to tell me. But I tell cattle, produce, food, because everybody, you have to eat, and you need firearms. And once black powder hit the world stage, all the rules, everything just changed.
But
everything changed when black powder hit the world.
But Nick, we're supposed to have renewable energies that can plan all of that stuff right now.
Yeah, that is so funny. That renewable energy crap cracks me up. Look, I tell people, I'm not saying don't try to do solar. I'm not saying don't try to harness the power of the wind. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that stuff ain't never gonna replace what crude oil, because guess what? The wind don't blow 24 hours a day all the time to turn that turbine, and the sun don't shine 24 hours a day to power that node over there. And what do you do with all those batteries when they no longer hold a charge?
But Nick, there's supposed to be millions of jobs created from renewable energies, Nick.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean like Solyndra? How Obama took all our tax dollars and
some of these renewable energies actually have
all those panels wind up being crushed and going into a damn landfill. That kind of renewable energy,
right? But some of these renewable energies actually do have promise. I mean, it's not.
No. I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I've never been.
We just don't have the technology.
I've never been against them. It's just I give pushback when I got some pointy-headed know nothing that think he knows something that he don't, that tries to push against like everything should be powered by wind and unicorn farts and donkey piss. It don't work that way, big boy. I said, okay, you're wearing oil. Your food is preserved by oil-based products.
But Nick, they said
that I know
we can instantly transfer to a renewable energy.
I'm waiting on the power of the unicorn part, right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
And when you talk about the worldwide electric grid, guess where that's coming from?
Yeah, I mean, just like Brother Taylor said. I mean, a lot of these renewable energy sources. Guess what? These turbines and these solar panels.
They need crude oil to make the products.
Yep, and not only that, the energy. It's not like these things hold the energy. This energy gets stored in some type of battery system.
Yeah.
So you're talking about battery systems that will fail. Take it from me. I'm a mechanical engineer. I run into battery failure quite often on systems. So it all has its vulnerabilities. I mean, all of that shit's vulnerable, man.
Sure,
all of it has vulnerabilities.
So, has anybody here ever been to?
I thought that's why we're spending $6 trillion, X.
So, has anybody here ever been to like a? Has anybody here ever been to like a data center?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we have quite a few of them here in Minnesota. Has anybody here ever seen those perpetual energy electrical grids in those data centers? You can actually see it through a see-through window.
Yeah, it's a bunch of crap in there that one day is going to fail.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Fail safes, whatnot. So that's one thing. Now, that's not renewable energy, not quote unquote renewable energy, but it's just one of the technologies that goes in conjunction with that, like perpetual motion. Similar to how once it starts, it never stops, because there's always something propelling something else.
Sure, but the thing is, because I used to be, I worked at because I'm an older guy. I used to work at a company called TX Connect. My job was to maintain the email servers at TX Connect. This was during the dial-up days, but wasn't no such thing as high-speed broadband when we were doing that. Right now, whatever electrical device that you're using right now, whether it's a laptop, a desktop, or a smartphone, if crude oil didn't exist, you wouldn't have it.
No. I'm aware of that.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. You as in you zero. I mean you as in us as in the world, period.
Right. But I mean, just like how you use one tool to make another, that's how
mm-hmm. But the thing is, there's people you do know there is a faction of people that for some odd reason is trying to kill the oil industry completely.
And that's right. Hippies. We can go green now.
Yeah, you talking about you talking about hippies. Yeah. They're always
a lot of these hippies that was dope smoking kids during the 60s, they're senators and congressmen.
No. I call them all hippies. The people that think like that, they are hippies.
But they're dangerous and they exist.
They are dangerous.
They're very dangerous.
Are you talking about the tree huggers, Brother Zero? Are you
Yeah,
talking about the tree huggers?
They're worse than tree huggers. They're worse than tree huggers
Okay.
because they don't wear like dirty clothes and smoke weed all day. These people are actually a bit more sophisticated than that, which makes them even more dangerous.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Well, you know what these people are thinking about, though. A lot of these people now, of course, I disagree with a lot of the shit they say, but I think they're thinking about the future. They're thinking about their families. They're thinking about their grandchildren, their great grandchildren, their great great grandchildren. And I think that is the fuel behind a lot of things, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. I do believe that people have an idea about what they want to leave behind for their children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren. And I think that a lot of that is behind, policies, behind ideas, behind inventions, behind whatever. I think that people who have that type of state of mind, to be honest, I think they're probably a little more productive than the people who are out there marching in the streets and flipping over cars and setting fires to garbage cans, because those people aren't really thinking. I don't think those people
wouldn't survive without people like us. They wouldn't make it without people like us.
You know why? Because those people are thinking about right now.
Yes.
They're not thinking about their
Some
children,
of them don't have them
grandchildren,
now.
great grandchildren. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I can give a little credence to the tree huggers, because at the very least, the tree huggers are thinking about the future. Okay. And if you have a family, you are heavily invested in the future, because one day we gonna look up and everybody on this panel gonna be dead.
Yeah.
But what does everybody on this panel leave the people who come behind them?
I don't know, man. A lot of them are carpet cleaners.
And 72 acres of land.
I mean,
it is.
And the thing about it, if you think about it, okay, in these states now, and I think I'm not sure if I'm not sure if it's Texas or not, but I know it's one state now. They trying to push back on Roe v. Wade real hard now, because in this one particular state, they said that once the growth inside a woman's womb
the heartbeat
has a heartbeat, that's it.
That's here.
It is Texas. It is Texas, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read the article recently, man. So when they doing stuff like that, okay, you talking about on a national level, okay? You talking about U.S. Constitutional law level.
Yeah, so, Tennessee tried it, but Tennessee tried it first. They fell short. Florida tried it next. They fell short. Texas looked and see where Tennessee and Florida fell. You know what I'm saying? So they had a blueprint, and they changed. They reworded, restructured what Tennessee and Florida failed at, and put it into theirs, and it passed.
Yeah, and galvanized the pro-lifers behind them. That's putting them in office and helping to push, against Roe v. Wade. And for me, I'm gonna tell you straight up now like this, okay?
I can't kill no babies, man. I can't do it.
I'm like this, okay? Myself, if it comes down to the medical condition of a woman where she can die while giving childbirth, okay? The way I look at it is this: I'm a man of faith also. So the way I see it is this:
that's different.
The child has no sin, okay? So the child is the child, okay, is not going to suffer like that, but the child will suffer if it's born with no mama and no daddy.
Yeah, those cases
those children are considered to be orphans. So I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it from this perspective too, okay? Because I mean, to say.
They put a health clause. No. There's a health clause, and there's an incest rape clause in there too, which only accounts by all parties involved are less than 2% of all childbirths.
Yeah,
but they did put that clause is in there.
Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not an absolute pro-lifer or what is it? Pro-choicer. Okay, I'm definitely leaning more towards pro-life than pro-choice. So that's just me, and I stand on my square on that because I got my youngins. You
Yeah, I don't
understand?
call it
So
pro-choice. I call it pro-death. You got
2% is pretty
pro-life
high.
and pro-death.
Oh,
you
damn.
know,
So
so
2% is
Can
pretty high in our society.
yeah.
yeah,
Well, isn't that can't we say that people who have a family are more future focused? Like, and I don't mean immediate future. Maybe if you don't have a family, you consider tomorrow the future, but
mhm,
you're more future focused if you have a family, because like I
yeah,
said earlier, you you think about what's going to be left. You think
yeah,
about what's going to be left behind. You think about what's going to be done after you're gone. You think about how your children and grandchildren are going to live. You think
mhm,
about all these things, because you have people, and I can't say this enough, people who rely on you. If all
yeah,
you have is yourself to think about, you don't really have to think about the future all that much, because if something happens to you, that's it. That's the
mhm,
end of it. Me,
yeah,
I can't think like that because I have a bunch of people who depend on me, rely on me. So if
yeah,
something happens to me, guess what? A lot of things kind of go away. Now, fortunately, I have life insurance. So,
mhm,
my wife wouldn't lose the house or the business or the car. She wouldn't lose the property we got in Pennsylvania and all that kind of shit. But
mhm,
she loses me, guess what? That continuous perennial income that comes into the household, guess
right.
what? That's
It's gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mhm.
can
That's
I ask y'all
gone.
a question before I leave? I got a jet.
Go ahead,
Okay.
brother Taylor.
Now, it ain't got nothing to do with this. Y'all can laugh at me. Why is it now everybody here got email? Why is
Hmm.
it that you can get spam email that you didn't ask for, but then when you go to unsubscribe it say it take at least 2 weeks for them to stop sending you shit? Can somebody
You know
explain
what? You
that
know
to me?
why? You know
I
why?
can, but
You know why?
it'll take too long.
No, well, I got about 2-3 because I can listen while I'm leaving because I can switch. I'm gonna turn on my tablet and I'm gonna get away from the computer here because I got.
Yeah, well,
Why does
brother,
it take?
Because
brother Zero's
when
an IT guy. He knows why that shit
Well,
does
go
it
ahead
to
and hit
us.
me, and I'll listen to you while I'm driving. Y'all
when the
be good. Good
internet when the internet
conversation,
was
y'all.
when the internet was released to the public, it wasn't designed with security in mind. Now there was email. Email was designed to receive messages. Period. The protocol was just designed to receive messages. Was not designed to block anything. All of the security parameters that ended up in email came as an after effect. So whenever you get spammed, that's why. The reason why you don't get the reason why it takes so long to unsubscribe is just simply because they don't want to unsubscribe you. All they do is you send the unsubscribe, then they'll just sell your email address to another company or a bunch of other companies. And then those people start spamming you, and then you start the cycle all over again. Only thing that I've seen, the most effective way to stop spam is to change your email address. Kill the other one, kill whatever email address you have and change it. But that doesn't work if you have like a Google account. But you can set your spam filters to be better. I mean, in my professional life, I just change people's emails. I change people's email address. So anything that comes to their old one, it just gets dumped. And then I do that for like 6 months, and then spammers realize that their email address is dead, and they stop sending to it. That's really all it takes. But email was not designed for security. When it first, the X25 protocol was never designed with security in mind. Just like HTTP, like going to websites and stuff, that was never designed with security in mind. It was designed to just get to the website. Everything else came after that. So all of the systems that we use right now were not designed with security in mind, and that's why you can get bamboozled most of the time. All the new stuff is security first from the ground up.
Wow.
Okay.
It's crazy, man, because
Yeah.
I have that a lot too, I mean, and I have a few, different emails. I have emails, for my shop. I have like 4 or 5 different personal emails. Then I have emails strictly, this strictly for business. And all of them get spam. It's not like, I always thought that the one that I use the most, and I'm always, the ones I order things through, the ones that's hooked up to my PayPals, I thought those would be the only ones that would get the spam. But all of them do. Even the ones I don't use a lot, when I do go into them, it's some spam shit in there.
Right.
I'm like, what the hell?
So the email addresses that you don't use, did you sign up with a public service like Gmail or something like that?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
You need the only way to stop that is you need your own server.
Yeah.
And even then, there's bots on the internet that basically monitor traffic, and if they see anything from a particular address, they'll just start spamming it. The only way for your email traffic to get through the internet unseen is you have to either put certificates on it or use some type of security protocol, which it's like end-to-end transport.
Okay. Okay.
Then no one can see it because it just looks like garbage.
Yeah. There's a request for you, Brother Zero. Brother Nick Taylor says he needs your email.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll send it to him.
I'm about to wrap this up, because it's getting late, and I need to go smoke Romeo and Julieta right now. But I want everybody to go ahead, give me their final thoughts, their parting shots before we peel up out of here. I appreciate all the brothers as always.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let somebody else go last. I guess I'll just repeat what I said earlier. A lot of our problems stem from the fact that multiculturalism does not work, never has, never will. It doesn't work for anybody, not even white people. Ask the Vikings and like for instance, if America got rid of all the brown people today and tomorrow is just all white people, they got their ethno state like they want, right? Mm-hmm. Who's going to dominate the culture? The Italians, the Jews, any takers? Because they can't get along either. Multiculturalism never works. And one of the prime examples you can look to prove why multiculturalism never works is because when you have multiculturalism, you need a scapegoat or enemy, so to speak, which is us. So all the other cultures can band together under their whiteness against us because at the end of the day, if left to their own devices, their multiculturalism doesn't work. They start killing each other just like they used to. Yeah. Just like they used to.
Yeah,
so
back in the day, it did.
Yeah. So again, if you look at countries that don't have multiculturalism and different shades of pale to brown, they don't have our unique problems because they have one culture. That is actually how Rome came to prominence, because one culture. In fact, if you go back about, 80, maybe 100 years, America was doing the same thing. When you came over here, you had to assimilate to the culture or get the fuck out. So, and it worked for a very long time. Money, of course, is going to corrupt things over time, or people having access to control of the country that really have no skin in the game, which is what the women's suffrage was all about. But stuff like that's a whole nother stream. But the thing is, if you don't have a culture, one culture, you're not going to make it long term. I'll just put it that way.
I agree. Anybody else? Parting shots?
I just want to say, like I wrote to you in the email address there on the subject line there, family rules. So preserve yours.
Yeah, I agree. My man, Brother Art, parting shots.
Yes, sir. Have to just echo Brother Nick's term he used was arrested development. We can come up with all these different anecdotal, anthropological, whatever it is. We come up with any of these type of stuff, At the end of the day, we're talking about nature and growth. When your growth stops, then it's easy for somebody to come in to fill in those gaps. And so right now, since we have those voids, people are coming in to redefine what family means, even though we see that fat meat is greasy. You know, we're finding ways to either here's what's going on. We're excusing either white supremacy or even BFF. We're excusing all of it. You know what I'm saying? And now we're excusing the dumbing of education amongst our children. We're excusing that all because of maybe some individual stuff, some individual insight. But again, unless you have some maturity in place, because let's keep it real, family structure is a symbol of a man growing up. I mean, that's what that's all about. If he's not mature enough, the family dies. If he's not mature enough, he has no concept of what family means. So all these little other stuff that people try to put in, I mean, that's all well and good for their outlook, but for the most part, there's nothing new under the sun. You know, so there's things that have always happened over time, and for some reason, our history and our experience is not worth studying, you know, as a playbook. Everything is a playbook. You know, everybody else has their playbook, but for some reason, we're keeping our book closed to, I don't know, you name it, to try to make everybody happy. You know, that's not black. Trying to, like I said, redefine. But I think that's the core. The core is making sure that you grow up. You know, that you look in the mirror and see that your hair is gray. You know, your muscles are changing, or whatever it is, and you have to make sure that whatever worked then, you make sure it works now. You make sure that you do better than what people did in the past. That'd be my parting
Agreed.
shots.
Agreed.
All right. I agree. I
But thank you for
appreciate you,
having me
brothers.
up, man.
Oh,
I managed to put you
absolutely, man.
in.
You
Yeah.
royalty up here, man. What are you talking about, man? You're royalty on
I
T.P.O.T.
Hey man,
I
ditto for
appreciate
me.
it, man.
Ditto for me, brother X. I mean, appreciate you letting me
Absolutely,
out,
man.
man.
Come through anytime, brother Semper. Anytime, man.
Right.
Everybody's
Yeah,
welcome here.
he'll be a good dude to interview too, man. Brother Eric, he has a
Yeah,
lot
well,
of
yeah, let's do that, man. Hit me up with an email, man. If you're available next week, we could do something, brother Semper Fidelis, if you want. I
Oh
mean, it's up to
yeah.
you.
Oh yeah. I
I,
mean, I'm good with it, man.
I,
You know,
I
I
know you
mean, this.
crossed the pond, so we got that time difference may be an
Yeah.
issue, but
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about it is, yeah. So, I mean, if you want to do something, if you want to do something in the evening, let me know because then that means that this old nigga got to take a nap sometime late in the evening. So there's some the problem. Wake is fresh. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I know. I'm an old Negro too. I get it, man. I get it. I'm an old Negro too. I understand. Yeah. So what I'll do is I have your email now, so I'll hit you up in a couple days, figure out whether or
Okay,
not, because
cool.
I usually do Wednesday and Thursdays. These Saturdays are an anomaly for me. I don't usually do Saturdays, but
Okay.
I usually do Wednesday and Thursday night. So I'll hit you up in a couple days, and we'll try to figure something out, man. We'll rock out next week.
Okay, cool. Sounds good,
okay.
man.
All
I'm
right.
sorry, I finally
I'm
got it
out.
now. It's anthropological. Bam, I got
Uh-oh.
it. All right.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because it was
yeah,
hard to say that word. God damn. But yeah, I got it out.
But
It was hard to
I
say.
appreciate you brothers coming through, man. I do, man. And I guess I'll see y'all on the other side. And brother Simple Fidelis, I'll be hitting you up.
All right,
All right,
cool.
good brother. Thanks for having
That'll
us
All
up.
work.
right.
Appreciate it, fam.
Absolutely.
Salute
Peace.
and salute and hey, simple fidelis to the families, meaning
Oh yeah.
always faithful to the families.
All right. I
All right, peace.
received that, brother. Peace. Yeah, y'all. We're gonna get on up out of here, folks. But good stuff tonight. You know, the brothers came through, man, you know. I appreciate all you good folks. As always, y'all know I never take y'all lightly. I never have, and I never will. I appreciate all the cash apps and the super chats as well. I'm probably gonna have brother Simple Fidelis up in here next week, y'all. But we are cooking up. We have something in the pot. We're cooking up a new kind of thing, man. We just haven't kind of worked the kinks out of it yet. But I think we're going to debut something new this week. We might do it Wednesday. I'm not sure. If we do it Wednesday, I'll have Brother Semper here Thursday. All right. If we do it Thursday, maybe I'll try to get Brother Semper Fidelis in here on Wednesday. But at any rate, this week we're gonna bring y'all something a little new. Hopefully y'all like it. I'm not gonna say anything about it now. You're gonna have to look and check for the thumbnail. That should be up in the next day or two. And it's something that everybody can get involved in. I'll just say that. And hopefully you guys come check it out and enjoy it. We'll see. So I'll see you folks next week. But before we get out of here, let me turn on shit. Before we get out of here, of course, I want to thank all the brothers who came through tonight. My man, Brother SKC, Brother Simple Fidelis, Brother Gabe A, Brother Nick Taylor, Brother Art Nostal, and Brother Zero for coming through tonight. And I also want to thank you folks that hang out there and you folks that hang out in here. Once again, man, I appreciate y'all, man, hanging out tonight, man, and sticking around, man, and watching us, man, spending some time with us. Like I always say, man, I never take you folks lightly, man. I don't take you lightly. I never will. All right. I appreciate y'all, man, for hanging out, man, and giving some credence to this conversation, man, because I know I talk about this a lot, and y'all probably get tired of fucking X saying this, but I mean, I believe family is important, man. All right. I believe family is important. I believe parenting is important. I think all of this stuff matters, man. All right. I think all of it matters. All of it matters, man. This isn't no small stuff. Of course, you get to be an adult, you get to be 18, 19, 20, and you're going off to school and you get out your parents' house and you're exposed to other things, you're exposed to other experiences, you're exposed to other environments. But I'm a true believer, man, that what happens in that house that you were raised in, man, either prepares you for those environments or it does not. It gets you ready for those environments or it does not. It challenges you mentally before you get to those environments, or it does not. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, man, none of that matters. None of that matters. Bullshit. I call bullshit on that, man. Call bullshit on it. Because I'm a true believer that you learn how to be an adult as a child. And if you weren't taught the right things as a child, there's a pretty good chance you're going to turn out to be a really messed up adult. And I think it all goes back to your family. You can't convince me that a child with a solid family behind them doesn't do better. They don't do better in school. They don't do better in sports. They don't do better in life. They don't do better as they get to be older adults. There's nothing you can say to convince me that that's true. There's nothing that you can say to convince me that a strong family behind these children is going to make them be better people. And like I always say, there's always somebody say, well, I know somebody. They had two parents and they went to prison for life. Fine, you know somebody. Name me 100 people. Name me 1,000 people. And like Brother SKC said, man, earlier, we ain't going to never be able to build shit. We ain't going to never be able to have shit. We ain't going to never be able to grow anything until we get some families. It all starts inside the four walls that your ass sitting in right now. If that never gets straight, how is anything else going to get straight? If you're sending people out there in the world with no goddamn balance, with no goddamn backing, because it all goes back to children, man. We want this world to be right, man. These little ones got to be right. If we want to be future focused, those little heads are the future, man. Are they not? People like me, I ain't the future, man. I represent the past. I have no problem getting out of the way for young folks to take the reins. I have no problem with that at all. But my thing is this. We can't have young people take the reins if we haven't prepared them for taking the reins. Now, once they get the reins now, it's on them. But I'm a true believer that preparing them to take those reins, it's on us. We're not preparing these young people, man, for life. We're failing them. If we're not building families around these young people, man, we're failing them. We're failing them. I don't care what anyone says. Guarantee you, most of the people that get caught up in a bunch of nonsense, these people didn't have no family. These people didn't have a father. These people didn't have uncles, aunts, grandparents who really cared about them. That's why they failed. You'd be surprised what a child can turn into when he's got a family that supports him, backs him, and is there for them. But you can't be surprised to what these young people turn into when they don't have that. Because after all, man, one person does represent many. And a lot of people who are out there in the world, man, doing all this crazy stuff, things that we know are antisocial, destructive. We know these things aren't doing anything for black folks. The people who participate in this stuff, guarantee you, they didn't have people supporting them when they were coming up. They didn't have people behind them when they were children. They had no one to help them when they homework, when they came home. They had no one to harp on their education and be at those parent-teacher meetings, talking to that guidance counselor, talking to that principal. They didn't have any of that. And that's why a lot of them failed. We know it. We just don't like to talk about it. You know why? Because we'd like to talk about it more if we could point the finger and say it's them. But unfortunately, when we're talking about this kind of shit, it ain't just them. It's us. It's us. And that's where the problem is. I'm just saying. But anyway, Once again, man, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight, man. Shout out to all the brothers who showed up tonight, and shout out to you people out there, you people in here for showing up tonight, man. With that, I will leave you good folks with 3 words, like I always do. Open your mind.
Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power.
And so a community is where you control your police, you control your commerce, you control your education, you control your house. We don't control none of that. We live in a hood. Huh? Well, what about the Negroes that get out? Oh, well, see, my cousin, they say he's a multi-millionaire, almost at $1 billion. 3 PhDs, working on 2 more. Driving down the street in Chicago in his Rolls Royce, enjoying himself, and he hear these sirens and look through the mirror and see this cop car flashing lights. He squeezed the steering wheel, man. Heart beats fast. Because he knows the price of a Negro, what it could be. And then when that cop car passing by, he says, thank God he wasn't after you in the first place, Paul. That Negro thing you can't get away from. It's universal. They wasn't coming after you. With all your millions, with your Rolls Royce, with your PhD, didn't help. That's the hood. Why do you think you never pick up the paper until you read over and over and see white families? You think it's thousands of black cops in America. Why don't you see white families crying as black cops shot my loved one 42 times in the back of the head? Why do you think black cops are better? You think they're more spiritual? Think they're better? No! They got enough sense to know that white folks ain't gonna tolerate it. And I will stop in our neighborhood when we decide we will not tolerate it. Now, if we was organized, which is hard to organize people who are just gonna run crazy and you don't know you're crazy. But if we were, with the money we have, and the many people who would come to our aid that don't know what it's like to be a Negro, and we said, if we said, look, we saying, if we don't get a federal law to deal with police brutality, that anytime a cop or anybody carry a gun, have to have a license, just like if you drive a car. And if you use it wrongly, you'll lose your license. And if it's upheld, you can never work again as a cop or a store guard or a private detective. How do you get Congress to push that through? Well, you take your economic power and you call on your friends, black, white, young and old, and say, this coming Christmas, if we don't have a federal law to outlaw police brutality by law, if we call them for a nationwide boycott of Christmas and it'll start on Thanksgiving. Well, let me tell you what that means. 79% of all retail in America happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas. People stay in business all year, lose money just for Christmas, huh? Well, what happens now? Saks Avenue, Toys R Us, Sears and Roebuck, Westinghouse. They will get the bill, and all they got to do is make one phone call and say, Harry, that's the senator, I want that bill pushed through in 3 days. Okay, it's an economic thing. It's that simple. But we have the power, but the system has wiped us out so bad.
Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power.
Copy. San Antonio, Lincoln 6. Go ahead. Clear suspect down, 10-4. 10-4. The officer's code 4. We have 1 suspect that's been shot.
Open your mind.
Only from T.P.O.T. Media. Open your mind.